Captive Heart, a dark mafia romance. Prologue, The Devil's Bargain. The crystal chandelier cast fractured light across the mahogany table, each shard a tiny blade cutting through the suffocating silence. Valentina Romano's hand trembled above the contract. Not from fear, though fear coiled in her stomach like a serpent. Not from uncertainty, though every rational part of her mind screamed to run. No, her hand shook with pure incandescent rage. Rage at her father for his gambling debts. Rage at the Salvatore family for their merciless collection methods. Rage at the universe for placing her in this impossible position. And rage at the man sitting across from her, watching her with eyes the color of midnight. Cold, calculating, and completely devoid of mercy. Nico Salvatore. The name alone made grown men flinch. The youngest don in New York's 5 families, he'd earned his reputation through blood and brutality. They called him Il Diavolo, the devil, and sitting here in his private study, surrounded by shadows and secrets, Valentina understood why. He looked like sin incarnated, sharp jaw dusted with stubble, dark hair that fell across his forehead despite obvious attempts to tame it, a suit that probably cost more than her father's debt but fit him like a second skin, emphasizing shoulders broad enough to carry an empire, or a body. You have 60 seconds to decide, Miss Romano. His voice was smoke and velvet, deceptively smooth. After that, I collect my debt in other ways. Valentina knew what other ways meant in the Salvatore vocabulary. Her father's restaurant, the one her grandmother had built from nothing, would burn. Her younger brother Marco would disappear into one of Dante's gambling dens, another soul ground to dust under the family's heel. And she didn't want to think about what would happen to her. "This is barbaric," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "We're not living in the Dark Ages. You can't just buy a wife like property." "Can I?" Nico leaned back in his leather chair, the picture of casual power. "Your father owes me $300,000. Money he borrowed to cover his gambling losses. Money he has no way to repay." He paused, letting the weight of it settle. "Unless you prefer, I take the restaurant? Perhaps your brother's kneecaps? I'm flexible." The casual cruelty in his tone made her flinch. This wasn't a man who made idle threats. In his world, debts were paid one way or another. How generous. Valentina bit out, "I think so." Something flickered in his dark eyes. Amusement, maybe, or respect for her backbone. Most women would be crying by now. Most women haven't spent 26 years in this city learning how to survive predators. Is that what I am? A predator? What else would you call a man who buys women to settle debts? Practical. He stood, and Valentina fought the urge to step back as he rounded the table. He moved like violence barely leashed, each step deliberate and controlled. "I need a wife, Miss Romano. My family demands it. The old guard questions my authority because I'm unmarried at 32. They whisper about stability, legacy, tradition. So marry someone who wants you. Where's the fun in that?" He stopped close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that probably had an Italian name she couldn't pronounce. "Besides, women who only want my money, my power, my name, they see the Salvatore Empire and imagine themselves as queen. And I don't. You see me as the monster I am." His lips curved into something too sharp to be called a smile. "Refreshing, really. I'm tired of women pretending I'm a prince." Elena forced herself to meet his gaze. "You're asking me to marry you, to tie myself to you forever. That's not a debt repayment. That's a life sentence." "Is it?" He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, which somehow made it worse, and tilted her chin up with one finger. His touch burned. "Or is it salvation? Your father goes free. Your brother stays safe. The restaurant survives. All you have to do is stand beside me, wear my ring, and play the role of devoted wife. That's all." She couldn't keep the bitterness from her voice. "Well, eventually I'll expect an heir, but we can discuss that later." He released her chin, stepping back. 40 seconds, Miss Romano." Valentina looked at the contract again. The terms were spelled out in merciless legal language. Marriage to Nico Salvatore, to be performed within 1 week. all existing debts of Antonio Romano forgiven upon signing. Valentina Romano to assume the name Valentina Salvatore, and all duties associated with the title of Mrs. Nico Salvatore. Prenuptial agreement included. Terms non-negotiable. Duration, until death do us part. Until death do us part. In Nico's world, that phrase carried more weight than in most wedding vows. Death was always close in the 5 families. It lurked in every shadow, every business deal, every perceived slight. She would be marrying into violence, into danger, into a life where loyalty meant everything and betrayal meant a bullet. But her alternative was watching her family destroyed piece by piece. 30 seconds. Valentina picked up the pen. A heavy Mont Blanc that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Her hand had stopped shaking. Rage had crystallized into something harder, sharper. Determination. If Nico Salvatore thought she would be some docile mafia wife, content to look pretty at his side and bear his children, he was about to learn otherwise. She signed her name with swift, angry strokes. Valentina Maria Romano. For now, Nico took the contract, his fingers brushing hers deliberately. Excellent choice. Don't mistake necessity for approval. I wouldn't dream of it. He pressed a button on his desk. The door opened immediately, and a man entered, tall, scarred, dangerous, one of Nico's soldiers. Luca will escort you home. Pack whatever you want to bring. Tomorrow you move into the estate. Tomorrow? That's not negotiable. He cut her off with surgical precision. The wedding is in 6 days. We have much to prepare. A tailor will arrive tomorrow afternoon to fit you for your dress. My mother will call regarding flowers, catering, and whatever else women concern themselves with for weddings. This is insane. This is my world, Miss Romano. You'd better get used to it. He returned to his desk, already shifting his attention to the papers there, dismissing her. Luca will give you my private number. If you need anything, call. If you try to run... He looked up, and the coldness in his eyes made her blood freeze. Don't. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Valentina wanted to argue, to rage, to throw the contract in his face and damn the consequences. But she'd made her choice, signed her name, sold herself to save her family. I won't run, she said quietly. I keep my word. Good. Something shifted in his expression. There and gone so quickly she might have imagined it. One more thing, Miss Romano. What? In 6 days you'll be my wife. But don't mistake a ring for protection. He stood again, moving around the desk with that predatory grace. My world is dangerous. My enemies are numerous, and they will see you as my weakness. Then maybe you shouldn't have forced me into this. Force? He laughed, low and dark. You had a choice. You chose to sign. Between signing and watching my family suffer, that's not a choice. It's the only kind of choice anyone in this life gets. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. But I'll tell you this, Valentina, and you should probably believe me. What? I protect what's mine. His hand came up to cup her jaw, thumb brushing her cheekbone with surprising gentleness. You signed that contract. You wear my ring. You take my name. You become mine. And no one touches what belongs to the Salvatore family. The possession in his tone should have terrified her. Instead, it sent an unwelcome shiver down her spine, fear mixed with something she refused to acknowledge. I'm not property, she whispered. No, he agreed softly. You're much more valuable than that. Then he released her and turned away, the moment of almost tenderness evaporating. Luca will see you out. Welcome to the family. Miss Romano. Valentina followed Luca through the mansion's corridors, her mind spinning. 6 days. In 6 days, she would marry a man she barely knew. A man whose reputation was built on violence and fear. A man who looked at her like she was a problem to be solved, an asset to be acquired. A man who, for just a moment, had touched her face with unexpected gentleness. She climbed into the black SUV Luca indicated, her hands clenched in her lap. Through the tinted window, she watched the Salvatore estate disappear behind them, all stone and iron and secrets. Her phone buzzed. A new contact had been added. Nico Salvatore. A text appeared. Don't forget. 6 days. Don't make me come looking for you. Valentina deleted the message but kept the number. 6 days to prepare for a marriage built on debt and desperation. 6 days to steel herself for a life beside a devil. 6 days to figure out how to survive Nico Salvatore. As the city lights blurred past, Valentina made herself a promise. She might be forced into this marriage, but she would not be broken by it. She would not become another casualty of the five families' endless games. She would survive. And maybe, just maybe, she would find a way to make Nico Salvatore regret the day he decided she was worth $300,000. Chapter 1. The Price of Salvation. The Romano family restaurant sat on a corner in Little Italy, its red awning faded by decades of sun and rain. Inside, the scent of garlic and tomato sauce had seeped into the walls, becoming as much a part of the structure as the brick and mortar. Valentina stood in the doorway, watching her father wipe down tables in the empty dining room. It was past midnight. The last customer had left hours ago, but Antonio Romano never went home until everything was perfect, a habit from the old days, when his mother, Valentina's grandmother, had run this place with an iron fist and impossible standards. Papa. He looked up, and the hope that flashed across his face made her chest ache. Valentina. Did you? She pulled the contract from her purse and placed it on the nearest table. Signed, sealed, irrevocable. Antonio's hands trembled as he picked it up, scanning the terms he already knew by heart. When he looked at her again, his eyes were wet. No, he whispered. No, you didn't. Tell me you didn't sign this. I signed it. Valentina. It's done, Papa. She kept her voice steady, refusing to let him see how much it cost her. The debt is cleared. The restaurant is safe. Marco is safe. You're all safe. But you, his voice cracked. You sold yourself to that monster. I made a choice. She moved to him, taking his weathered hands in hers. The only choice that mattered. You would have done the same for Mama, for any of us. Your mother would never forgive me for this. Valentina's throat tightened. Her mother had died 5 years ago, a heart attack that took her before the ambulance could arrive. Sometimes Valentina was grateful she wasn't here to see what her husband's gambling had brought upon their family. Mama would understand, she said softly. She always understood about family, about sacrifice. Antonio pulled her into a crushing embrace, and Valentina let herself have this moment. Tomorrow, she would move into the Salvatore estate. Tomorrow, her new life would begin. But tonight, she was still just his daughter, standing in the restaurant where she'd grown up, saying goodbye to everything she'd ever known. I'll kill him, Antonio said into her hair. I'll find a way. No. Valentina pulled back sharply. No, Papa. You'll do nothing. You'll stay away from Nico Salvatore and his family. You'll run this restaurant, take care of Marco, and live your life. That's the deal. That's what I bought with this marriage. This isn't a marriage. It's slavery. Maybe. She managed a smile that felt like broken glass. But it's my slavery, and I'll survive it. The door chimed. Valentina turned to see her younger brother Marco standing there, his jacket soaked from a rain she hadn't even noticed starting. Val! At 23, Marco still looked like the boy who'd followed her everywhere, always asking questions, always needing protection. Is it true? Did you really? It's true. He crossed the room in 3 strides and grabbed her shoulders. No, no way. We'll find another way. I'll work more hours. I'll get another job. There is no other way, Marco. She covered his hands with hers. It's done. Then we'll break the contract. You'll do nothing. The steel in her voice made him step back. You'll finish your degree. You'll stay away from the gambling dens. You'll help Papa with the restaurant. And you'll forget about the Salvatore family. How can you ask me to just accept this? Because I need you to. Because if you do something stupid trying to save me, it'll all be for nothing. She cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. Promise me, Marco. Promise me you'll be smart. He looked like he wanted to argue, to rage, to break something. But finally, he nodded. I promise. Good. She kissed his forehead. Take care of Papa. He's going to need you. When do you? Tomorrow. I'm moving tomorrow. The three of them stood in the empty restaurant, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down like a physical force. This was goodbye. Not forever, maybe, but goodbye to the life they'd known, to the family they'd been, to Valentina Romano, who would cease to exist in 6 days. The Salvatore estate sprawled across 5 acres in Westchester, surrounded by walls that looked decorative but Valentina suspected were reinforced with steel. Guard posts flanked the main gate, men in dark suits watching as a black SUV carrying her and Luca passed through. She'd packed 2 suitcases. Everything else, her books, her photographs, her memories, she'd left behind. Nico had made it clear. She was starting a new life. The old one needed to stay in the past. The mansion itself was exactly what she'd expected. Ostentatious, overwhelming, more statement than home. White stone, tall columns, windows that probably cost more than a year of her father's income. It looked like something out of a movie about crime lords and ill-gotten wealth, which, she supposed, it was. Luca pulled up to the front entrance. Mrs. Salvatore will meet you inside. I'm not Mrs. Salvatore yet. His expression didn't change. In this house, you already are. The double doors opened before she could knock. A woman stood there, late 50s, elegant in a way that suggested old money, despite the family's reputation. Dark hair swept back in a perfect chignon, pearls at her throat, eyes that missed nothing. Valentina. Her voice carried the slight accent of someone who'd learned English later in life. I'm Francesca Salvatore, Nico's mother. Welcome to your new home. The warmth in her tone surprised Valentina. She'd expected coldness, judgment, perhaps disdain for the girl bought to solve a family problem. Instead, Francesca's smile seemed genuine. Thank you, Mrs. Salvatore. Francesca, please. We're family now. She gestured inside. Come, let me show you around. The interior matched the exterior. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, artwork that probably belonged to museums. Francesca led her through room after room, pointing out the formal dining room, the library, the conservatory, each more elaborate than the last. This must seem excessive, Francesca said, catching Valentina's expression as they entered a ballroom that could easily hold 200 people. It's certainly grand. My husband, Nico's father, built this place as a monument to himself. There was something bitter in her tone. He wanted everyone to know the Salvatore family had arrived, that we were no longer street thugs but legitimate businessmen. Are you? Legitimate. Francesca laughed, a surprisingly genuine sound. You're direct. I like that. No, Cara, we're not legitimate. We'll never be legitimate, but we pretend very well. She led Valentina upstairs to a suite of rooms overlooking the gardens. The bedroom was larger than Valentina's entire apartment had been, decorated in creams and golds, with a bed that could sleep 4 people comfortably. These are your rooms, Francesca said. Nico's suite is through there. She indicated a connecting door, but he's given instructions that it remain locked unless you choose otherwise. Valentina's eyebrows rose. He told you that? My son may be many things, but he's not a rapist. Francesca's voice went hard. Whatever arrangement you two have, he'll honor the terms, including giving you space. Why are you being so kind to me? Francesca studied her for a long moment. Because I was you once. Married to a man I didn't choose, brought into a family I didn't want, expected to smile and play the perfect mafia wife. She touched Valentina's cheek gently. But I survived, and so will you. Did you ever? Valentina couldn't finish the question. Love him? My husband? Francesca smiled sadly. No, but I learned to build a life anyway, to find joy in small things, to protect my children from the worst of this world. Her eyes met Valentina's. Nico is not his father. Remember that. Whatever else he is, he's not Salvatore Sr. Before Valentina could respond, footsteps sounded in the hallway. Heavy, deliberate, unmistakable. Nico appeared in the doorway, still in his suit from yesterday, looking like he hadn't slept. His eyes went to his mother first, then to Valentina, something unreadable passing across his face. "Mama, leave us." Francesca squeezed Valentina's hand once, then glided out, closing the door behind her. Silence fell, thick and tense. "You came," Nico said finally. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "I thought you might try to run." He moved into the room, and Valentina fought the urge to step back. "Most people in your position would." "I'm not most people." "No." He stopped a few feet away, studying her. "You're not. You showed up, kept your word. That's rare. In your world, maybe. In any world." He gestured to the suite. "Everything is as you requested. Your own space. Privacy. The staff has been instructed to treat you with respect and follow your orders." How generous. "I'm a prisoner with privileges." Something flashed in his eyes. Anger, maybe, or frustration. "You're not a prisoner, Valentina. You can leave these rooms whenever you want. Go into the city. See your family. I won't stop you. As long as I come back. As long as you fulfill the terms of our agreement." "Yes." She turned away, looking out the windows at the manicured gardens below. "When does it happen?" "The wedding. 5 days. We'll have a small ceremony here at the estate. Immediate family only. Not so small, then. The 5 families will attend." "Yes." He moved closer, and she saw his reflection in the window, standing just behind her. "I know this isn't what you wanted, Valentina, but I'll try to make it bearable." "Bearable?" She laughed, the sound hollow. "What a romantic goal. I'm not offering romance. I'm offering honesty. And the best deal you're going to get in this situation." She turned to face him. This close, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his jaw. Whatever kept him awake last night, it hadn't been pleasant. "Why?" she asked. "Why go through all this? You could have just taken the restaurant, broken my father's legs, and moved on. Why force this marriage?" "I told you. I need." "No." She stepped closer, watching his eyes widen slightly. "The real reason, not the story about legitimacy and family pressure." "Why me?" For a long moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then quietly, "Because you looked at me like I was a monster, and I'm tired of people pretending I'm not." The honesty in his voice shocked her. "That's why you want to marry me? Because I hate you? Because you're real? Because you'll tell me the truth instead of what you think I want to hear? Because in a world full of lies and performance, you're the first genuine thing I've encountered in years." "I'm not a thing. I'm a person." "I know." He reached out, then seemed to think better of it, his hand falling. "That's the problem. It would be easier if you weren't." They stood in the golden afternoon light, 2 people bound by debt and desperation, trying to find solid ground in quicksand. "I have rules," Valentina said suddenly. "Rules? If I'm going to do this, be your wife, live in this house, play this role, I have rules." Nico's lips curved into something almost like a smile. "I'm listening. 1, I see my family whenever I want. No restrictions, no supervision, no security concerns keeping me away." "Agreed." 2, my father's restaurant is completely off limits to your business. No money laundering, no meetings, no Salvatore family activities anywhere near it. Done. 3, I keep my own name. He frowned. "That's not." "I'll be Valentina Salvatore legally. But in my head, I'm still Romano. You can buy my presence, my time, my body eventually, but you can't buy who I am." He studied her for a long moment. "Anything else?" "Yes. You don't lie to me about anything. I don't care how ugly the truth is. I want it. No protection, no sugarcoating. If you're going to kill someone, if the family's in danger, if something's happening that affects me, you tell me. That could put you at risk. I'm already at risk. I'm marrying you." She held his gaze. "Honesty, Nico. That's the price of my cooperation." He was quiet. So long she thought he'd refuse. Then, slowly he extended his hand. "Deal, but it goes both ways." You want honesty? You give it too. Valentina took his hand. His grip was firm, warm, and for just a second, she felt something besides fear and anger. Curiosity, maybe, or the first stirrings of understanding. Deal, she said. They shook on it, sealing their new terms. When he released her hand, Valentina felt the absence of his warmth more than she wanted to admit. I should let you settle in, Nico said, moving toward the door. Dinner is at 8. Formal dining room. My mother will expect you to attend. Will you be there? Do you want me to be? The question surprised her. I don't know. He nodded like that was answer enough. Then I'll decide later. Rest, Valentina. You look exhausted. He left, closing the door softly behind him. Valentina sank onto the enormous bed, her hands shaking now that she was alone. She'd done it, moved into the devil's house, made her deal with him, started down a path she couldn't see the end of. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marco, you okay? She typed back, surviving. Love you. His response came immediately. Love you too. Stay strong. Valentina set the phone aside and looked around her new prison. Beautiful, luxurious, gilded, and utterly, completely empty of anything that mattered. She had 5 days until she became Valentina Salvatore. 5 days to prepare for a wedding built on debt. 5 days to figure out how to survive in a world where loyalty was currency and weakness meant death. 5 days to understand the man she was binding herself to. And as she lay back on the bed, staring at the ornate ceiling above, Valentina realized something that terrified her more than Nico's reputation or his family's violence. Part of her wanted to understand him. Part of her was curious about the exhaustion in his eyes, the honesty in his voice, the way he'd given her rules and space when he could have simply taken what he wanted. Part of her wondered if the devil might be more human than she'd thought. And that, she knew, was the most dangerous thought of all. Chapter 2, Playing House. The formal dining room could seat 20 people comfortably. Crystal glasses caught the light from an elaborate chandelier, each piece probably worth more than Valentina's college tuition. The table was set with china so delicate she was afraid to breathe near it. And it was just the three of them, Valentina, Francesca, and Nico. Valentina had changed into one of the dresses she'd found in her closet. Put there by whom, she didn't know, but it fit perfectly. Deep burgundy silk that made her olive skin glow and her dark hair look richer. She'd almost chosen something else out of spite, but vanity won. Or maybe it was a desire to prove she could play this role, even if it killed her. Nico sat ahead of the table in a fresh suit, the exhaustion from earlier masked behind his usual cold composure. He'd barely looked at her since she entered, focusing instead on his phone, typing with sharp, angry movements. Put that away, Francesca said mildly, taking her seat across from Valentina. We're having dinner as a family. Act like one. We're not a family, Nico replied, but he pocketed the phone. We're a business arrangement dining together. Nico. There was warning in Francesca's voice. It's fine, Valentina interjected. He's right. Let's not pretend this is something it's not. Nico's eyes finally met hers, something like approval flickering there. See, Mama? She understands. What I understand, Francesca said as servers appeared with the first course, is that you're both being stubborn fools. But fine. Have it your way. She turned to Valentina. Tell me about yourself. Cara, what did you do before my son upended your life? I worked at my father's restaurant. Managed the books. Sometimes waited tables. Occasionally cooked when we were short-staffed. You're a chef? Hardly. But I know my way around a kitchen. My grandmother taught me before she died. The Romano matriarch, Francesca said, recognition in her eyes. I met her once many years ago. She was formidable. She was terrifying, Valentina corrected, surprising herself with a smile. She once made a grown man cry because he undercooked her pasta. Francesca laughed. Yes, that sounds like her. The old families remember her fondly. She had standards. She had impossible standards. But the restaurant thrived under her. Valentina picked at her soup, some kind of seafood bisque that probably had a French name. My father tried to maintain them after she passed, but But gambling has a way of destroying even the strongest foundations, Nico finished quietly. Valentina's head snapped up. Don't talk about my father like you know him. I know his debt. I know his choices. I know he sacrificed his daughter rather than face the consequences of his actions. Nico's voice was cold, clinical. That tells me everything I need to know. He didn't sacrifice me. I chose. You chose between impossible options. That's not choice. That's coercion. He set down his spoon with precise care. Your father put you in that position. I merely offered the exit. An exit that leads straight into your bed. The words hung in the air, sharp and accusatory. Francesca's eyes widened slightly, but she said nothing, watching the exchange like a tennis match. Nico leaned back in his chair, studying Valentina with those dark, unreadable eyes. I haven't touched you. I've given you your own space. I've agreed to your rules. What more do you want from me? An apology would be nice. For what? Offering to clear your father's debt in exchange for a marriage? That's business. For treating me like property. I don't treat you like property. His voice dropped dangerously low. If I did, you'd be in my bed right now instead of sitting across from me hurling accusations. Property doesn't get a choice, Valentina. I've given you nothing but choices. Choices with guns to my head. Welcome to my world. He stood abruptly, throwing his napkin on the table. Enjoy your dinner. I've lost my appetite. He strode out, leaving Valentina shaking with anger and something else she couldn't name. Francesca sighed. That went well. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize, Cara. He needed to hear it. She took a sip of wine. My son is very good at justifying his actions. It's what his father taught him. Make the deal, do the business. Don't think about the human cost. Someone needs to remind him there is a cost. Valentina picked up her wine glass, needing something to do with her hands. You don't seem surprised by any of this. The arrangement, the contract, me? I'm not. Nico told me weeks ago he needed to marry for the family's sake. I assumed he'd choose some society princess who looked the other way at his business. Francesca smiled. I'm pleased he chose you instead. Why? Because you fight back. Because you're real. Because you'll make him work for every inch of ground. She reached across the table, covering Valentina's hand with her own. The Salvatore men are used to getting what they want without effort. It makes them lazy. Entitled. You'll keep him sharp. I'm not here to improve him. I'm here because I had no choice. Perhaps, but you're here nonetheless. Might as well make the best of it. The servers cleared the soup and brought the main course, some kind of elaborate fish with vegetables arranged like art. Valentina had no appetite, but she forced herself to eat. Refusing food felt like admitting defeat. Tell me about the wedding, she said, needing to fill the silence. What should I expect? Francesca's expression sobered. Formality, tradition, many eyes watching to see if you're worthy of the Salvatore name. The 5 families will attend, the heads, their wives, their heirs. They'll judge everything. Your dress, your composure, how you stand beside Nico. Sounds delightful. It's necessary. In our world, marriages aren't just between 2 people. They're alliances, statements, displays of power. You're not just becoming Nico's wife. You're becoming part of the family structure. And if they decide I'm not worthy, then they'll make your life difficult. Whispers, slights, challenges to Nico's authority through you. Francesca's eyes were kind but honest. But I think you're stronger than they'll expect. Use that. After dinner, Valentina retreated to her rooms, exhausted from the effort of maintaining composure. She just kicked off her heels when a knock sounded at her door. Not the main door. The connecting door to Nico's suite. She froze. What do you want? To apologize. His voice was muffled through the wood. May I come in? Every instinct screamed no, but curiosity won. Fine. The door opened. Nico had removed his jacket and tie, his shirt unbuttoned at the collar. He looked more human this way, less like the cold businessman from dinner. I was out of line, he said without preamble. About your father. You're right. I don't know him. I shouldn't have spoken like I did. Valentina crossed her arms, not ready to forgive yet. Why did you? Because I'm angry. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration clear in the gesture. At him for putting you in this position. At myself for taking advantage of it. At the whole situation that brought us here. You could have said no, refused the deal, let my father face the consequences. I could have, but then I wouldn't have you. The words landed like a physical blow. What's that supposed to mean? Nico moved further into the room, but kept his distance, respecting her space. It means exactly what I said earlier. You're real, Valentina. In a world where everyone performs, where every smile is calculated and every word is strategy, you're genuine. You hate me openly instead of hiding it behind pleasantries. You fight instead of submitting. Your what? Your charity case? Your pet project? My equal? The intensity in his voice stopped her. Or you could be if you chose to be. How am I your equal? You hold all the power here. Do I? He stepped closer, and she saw something vulnerable in his eyes. You could destroy me, Valentina. One word to the right people about how I forced this marriage, how I coerce you. The old families would turn on me in a heartbeat. They're looking for any excuse to question my leadership. Then why risk it? Because I'm betting you won't. Because underneath all that anger and resentment, you're curious about me too. Her breath caught. I'm not. You are. I saw it this afternoon. The way you looked at me when I told you the truth about wanting honesty. You want to understand me as much as I want to understand you. Understanding you doesn't mean I'll forgive you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a truce. He held out his hand. Real one this time. No games, no manipulation. Just two people trying to survive an impossible situation together. Valentina stared at his outstretched hand. This was the moment. She could refuse, could maintain the walls between them, could spend the next however many years locked in cold warfare. Or she could take a risk. She took his hand. Truce. But I'm still angry at you. I'd be disappointed if you weren't. The corner of his mouth lifted in almost smile. Anger means you haven't given up. Given up on what? Fighting. Living. Being yourself instead of just playing a role. He released her hand, but didn't step back. This close, Valentina could see faint scars on his jaw, probably from fights she didn't want to know about. Could see the darkness under his eyes that suggested sleep didn't come easy. Could see the tension in his shoulders that spoke of weight he carried alone. Why are you really doing this? She asked quietly. The marriage, the contract, all of it. The real reason. Nico was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because I'm tired of being alone. Because I'm 32 years old, and I've never had a real conversation with anyone outside my mother. Because every woman who's ever looked at me has seen my money or my power or my family name, never just me. And you think I see you? I think you see a monster. But at least that's honest. He smiled sadly. At least when you look at me with disgust, it's real disgust, not some performance hiding what you really want. What makes you think I'm not performing too? Are you? Valentina met his eyes. In this moment, in the soft lamplight of her room, she found she didn't want to lie. No, what you see is what you get. I'm terrible at hiding my feelings. Good. Don't start now. He moved toward the connecting door, then paused. One more thing. What? Tomorrow, my tailor is coming to fit you for your wedding dress. We're something easy to take off. Her face heated. Excuse me? For the fitting, he clarified, and was at amusement in his eyes. The dress requires multiple adjustments. It's easier if you're not fighting with buttons. Oh! She felt ridiculous for assuming. For what? That he was propositioning her? Right. Of course. Unless you prefer I help with the buttons? Now, he was definitely amused. Get out. He laughed. Actually laughed, the sound warm and unexpected, and retreated through the connecting door. Before closing it, he looked back. Good night, Valentina. Good night, Nico. The door clicked shut, leaving her alone with her racing thoughts and treacherous heart. She hated him. She was certain of that. hated what he'd done, hated the position he'd put her in, hated the way he'd upended her entire life for his own purposes. But she was also starting to understand him, and understanding was dangerous. Understanding led to empathy, and empathy led to... No, she wouldn't let herself finish that thought. Valentina changed into her nightgown and climbed into the enormous bed. Through the walls, she could hear faint sounds from Nico's room. Footsteps, a drawer closing, the shower running. She wondered if he slept well, or if his conscience kept him awake. She wondered if he thought about her the way she was, annoyingly, thinking about him. She wondered if she was losing her mind, because for days ago she'd hated this man with every fiber of her being, and now she didn't know what she felt. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Sleep well, Valentina. For more days. She should have been annoyed by the reminder. Instead, she found herself smiling at the simple message. She typed back, "For more days until I'm stuck with you forever." How comforting. His response came quickly. "Forever is a long time. We should probably learn to tolerate each other." Tolerate? You have low standards. I prefer to call it realistic expectations. Good night, Nico. Good night, troublemaker. Valentina set her phone aside, that unwelcome smile still on her face. For days until the wedding. For days until she became Valentina Salvatore. For days to figure out if the man she was marrying was truly a monster or just someone very good at playing one. And as she drifted towards sleep, she realized something terrifying. She was actually looking forward to finding out. Chapter 3. Silken Secrets. The tailor arrived at precisely 10 in the morning, accompanied by 3 assistants carrying garment bags and boxes that looked like they cost more than Valentina's car. His name was Giorgio, and he moved through the world like he was doing a favor by existing. Air kisses, dramatic gestures, a heavy Italian accent that Valentina suspected was at least 50% performance. "Bellissima," he declared upon seeing her, though she was wearing jeans and a sweater. Yes, Nico has chosen well. You have the face of an angel and the body of... He made an appreciative gesture that probably would have gotten him slapped in any other context. Giorgio. Francesca appeared in the doorway of the sitting room. They converted into a temporary fitting space. "Behave yourself." "Always, Signora. Always." He turned back to Valentina. "All business now. Come, we have much work to do. The wedding is in 4 days, which is criminally short notice. But for the Salvatore family, I make miracles." The assistants began unpacking dresses, dozens of them, each more elaborate than the last. Lace and silk, beading and crystals, enough fabric to clothe a small village. "I thought we were fitting one dress," Valentina said. "We are fitting many dresses to find the perfect one," Giorgio corrected. "Nico gave me very specific instructions about what he wants." Something uncomfortable twisted in Valentina's stomach. "Did he?" Yes, he said. Giorgio consulted his notes. "Something that makes her look like herself, not like someone else's idea of a bride." Very romantic, no? Valentina didn't know what to say to that. It was romantic, thoughtful, completely at odds with the man who bought her to solve a business problem. "Let's start with this one." Giorgio held a confection of white lace and tulle that looked like it belonged in a fairy tale. 2 hours later, Valentina had tried on 17 dresses and hated them all. Too frilly, too plain, too much like a costume, too much like surrendering. "Perhaps," Giorgio said with infinite patience, "the problem is not the dresses. The problem is definitely the dresses. The problem," Francesca interjected gently, "is that you're trying to find a dress for a wedding you don't want." Valentina sank onto the settee in her undergarments and the 18th dress, a sleek column of silk that she actually didn't hate. Is it that obvious? Only to anyone with eyes. Francesca dismissed the assistants with a gesture. Once they'd left, she sat beside Valentina. "Tell me what you want. I want not be getting married in 4 days to a man I barely know. Besides that, if you could design your own dress, what would it look like?" Valentina closed her eyes, trying to imagine. Simple, elegant, nothing that screams mafia bride or bought woman. Something that She struggled for the words. Something that lets you feel like yourself even in the middle of this performance? Francesca suggested. Yes, exactly that. Giorgio, who'd been quietly listening, suddenly snapped his fingers. I know exactly what you need. One moment. He disappeared into the hallway, returning with a garment bag Valentina hadn't seen before. This one I made for someone else. A private client who changed your mind at the last minute. But I think this is for you. He unzipped the bag with a flourish. The dress that emerged was nothing like the others. No lace, no beading, no excessive drama. Just pure ivory silk that caught the light like water, cutting clean lines that suggested rather than announced. Elegant without being ostentatious. Simple without being plain. Beautiful without trying to be. Oh! Valentina breathed. Yes. Giorgio said with satisfaction. Oh, indeed. Try it on. The silk slid over her skin like a whisper. The fit was nearly perfect. Only minor adjustments needed. When Valentina looked in the mirror, she saw herself. Not a bride, not a possession, not a role she was playing. Just herself, dressed for the most important day of her life. Even if that day was built on lies. This one, she said quietly. An excellent choice, Giorgio approved. I'll have the alterations done by tomorrow. You'll be the most beautiful bride New York has ever seen. After Giorgio and his team departed, Valentina found herself alone in the sitting room, still thinking about the dress, about how something as simple as a right silk could make her feel more in control of an uncontrollable situation. Did you find one? She turned to find Nico in the doorway, still in his work clothes, looking like he'd just come from a meeting that hadn't gone well. I did, thanks to your tailor's magic. Giorgio is the best. He moved into the room, his eyes scanning her face. You look tired. Trying on 17 dresses will do that. 17? His eyebrows rose. I told him to give you options, not exhaust you. I'm fine. Just overwhelmed by how fast this is all happening. Nico was quiet for a moment. Then, do you want to slow it down? We could postpone. No. The answer surprised her with its firmness. No, let's just get it over with. That's romantic. You said you weren't offering romance. True. He smiled slightly. I did say that. Still, get it over with isn't exactly the enthusiasm most grooms hope for. Are you most grooms? Definitely not. They stood in the afternoon light, the absurdity of their situation hanging between them. Here they were, discussing their wedding like it was a business meeting, both pretending this was normal. What happens after? Valentina asked suddenly. After the wedding? After the vows? What's expected of me? What do you mean? I mean, what does a mafia wife actually do, besides look decorative and produce heirs? Nico's expression darkened. Is that what you think? That I want you to be some silent accessory? Don't you? Isn't that the whole point? Legitimacy through marriage, respect through tradition? He stopped, frustration clear on his face. I don't know what I want from you, Valentina. That's the truth. I know what the family expects. I know what tradition demands. But what I personally want, I'm still figuring that out. The honesty in his voice made her chest ache. At least you're admitting it. I promise you honesty, even when it makes me look incompetent. You don't look incompetent. You look human. She moved closer, studying his face. You look tired, actually. Have you slept at all since I got here? Some. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. He rubbed his eyes, and Valentina saw the exhaustion there clearly now. I have a business to run, a wedding to plan, a family to manage, and enemies who see this marriage as either a sign of strength or a potential weakness depending on how it goes. Which is it? Strength or weakness? I don't know yet. His eyes met hers. That depends on you. On me? On whether you stand beside me or behind me. On whether you're a partner or just a placeholder. On whether we can build something real from this mess or if we're just going to spend the next 50 years tolerating each other. 50 years? The number felt impossible. You're planning to keep me that long? Till death do us part. That's what the vows say. His voice was dry, but there was something else underneath. Unless you're planning to poison me in my sleep. I haven't decided yet. Depends on how annoying you are. He laughed, and the sound transformed his face. Made him look younger, less burdened, almost happy. Fair enough, he said. I'll try to be only moderately annoying. That would be appreciated. A comfortable silence fell. Valentina realized with surprise that she didn't mind his presence, that having him here, in this room, felt almost natural. Dangerous thought. I should go, Nico said, but didn't move. I have calls to make, contract to review, the usual chaos. When you sleep? When I can't stay awake anymore. That's not healthy. Neither is most of my life. He smiled without humor. Welcome to it. I'm not welcome to it yet. Still have 4 days of freedom. Is that what this is? Freedom? He gestured the room, the house, the life she was living. Doesn't feel like it to me. What does it feel like? He considered. Limbo. We're both stuck between what was and what will be. Try to figure out how to survive the transition. Poetic for a mob boss. I read occasionally, usually contracts, but sometimes poetry slips in. Valentina smiled despite herself. You're strange, you know that? Strange how? You're supposed to be this terrifying crime lord, Il Diavolo, but you read poetry and worry about whether your fiancé is tired from dress shopping. Are those things mutually exclusive? In my mind, they were, but you're not fitting into the box I made for you. Good. He moved closer, and Valentina's breath caught. I don't want to fit in your box. I want you to see me as I actually am. Contradictions and all. Why does that matter? Because he stopped himself, something vulnerable flashing across his face before he locked it down. Because it does. Let's leave it at that. But Valentina couldn't leave it at that. Not when he was standing this close, looking at her with an intensity that made her skin heat and her heart race. Not when she could see the man beneath the monster, the humanity beneath the reputation. Tell me something true, she said quietly. Something you've never told anyone else. Why? Because you asked me to be real with you. So be real with me. Nico was silent for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, barely above a whisper, I'm afraid. Of what? Of becoming my father. Of turning into the kind of man who values power over people, money over morality, reputation over everything real. His eyes held hers. Of waking up one day and realizing I've destroyed everyone around me in the pursuit of success. Valentina's throat tightened. You're not your father. How do you know? You've never met him. No, but I've met you. And the man who worries about becoming his father is already different from him. That's naive. Maybe, but it's still true. She reached up without thinking, touching his face lightly. He froze, his eyes darkening. Your father wouldn't give me my own rooms. He wouldn't ask for my rules. He wouldn't care if I was tired or overwhelmed or scared. How do you know what he'd do? Because your mother told me. She told me you're not him, and I'm starting to believe her. Nico caught her hand, holding it against his cheek. His skin was warm, his stubble rough against her palm. You shouldn't. Shouldn't what? Believe you're human? Shouldn't trust me. Shouldn't let your guard down. Shouldn't. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. Shouldn't look at me like that. Like what? Like you're starting to see something worth seeing. Her breath caught. Maybe I am. Valentina. Don't. She pulled her hand back, suddenly needing space. Don't tell me I'm wrong. Don't tell me I'm imagining things. Don't tell me what I should or shouldn't feel. I was going to say, be careful. His voice was rough. Be careful seeing something worth seeing in me, because I'll disappoint you. Eventually, inevitably, I'll disappoint you. Everyone disappoints everyone eventually. That's life. Not like I will. Not with what I am, what I do. He stepped back, creating distance. I'm trying to protect you. From me, if nothing else. I don't need protection. I need honesty. Then honestly, I want to kiss you right now. I wanted to since you walked down those stairs yesterday, in that burgundy dress. But I won't, because you're not ready, and pushing before you are would make me exactly the monster you think I am. The confession hung between them, raw and electric. Valentina's heart hammered. What if I said I was ready? Are you? I don't know. I'm confused. I'm angry. She struggled for words. I'm feeling too many things at once, and I don't know which ones are real and which ones are just Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome requires captivity. You can leave any time. Can I? Really? Yes. He moved to the door, then looked back. I mean it, Valentina. If this is too much, if you can't do this, tell me. I'll find another way to handle my family's expectations. But I won't keep you here against your will. What about my father's debt? Forgiven regardless. I'll put it in writing if you want. She stared at him, trying to process. You just let me go? After everything? I'd hate it, but yes. His smile was sad, because keeping you here when you don't want to be here would make me my father, and I'm trying very hard not to be him. He left before she could respond. Valentina stood in the empty sitting room, her mind spinning. He was giving her an out. A real one, not just words, but an actual escape clause. She could leave, walk away, return to her old life. And the terrifying thing was, she wasn't sure she wanted to. Her phone buzzed. Marco, how you holding up? She typed back, honestly, I have no idea. That bad? That complicated? You need me to come get you? Say the word. Valentina looked at the message for a long time. Then, I'm okay. Just figuring things out. Love you, sis. Love you too. She pocketed her phone and moved to the window, looking out at the gardens. In 4 days, she'd marry Nico Salvatore, become his wife, bind herself to him legally, socially, permanently. And the scariest part wasn't the marriage itself. It was that she was starting to want it. Not the debt repayment, not the family salvation, not even security and wealth. She was starting to want him, the man behind the monster, the poetry reader, the son trying not to become his father, the person who gave her choices even when he didn't have to. I'm in so much trouble, she whispered to the empty room, because falling for Nico Salvatore wasn't part of the plan. But her heart, it seemed, had never been good at following plans. Chapter 4, Wolves at the Door. 3 days before the wedding, the 5 families came to dinner. Valentina stood in front of her mirror, adjusting the black dress Francesca had selected for her. Simple, elegant, armor disguised as fashion. You look perfect, Francesca said from the doorway. But you're shaking. I'm terrified. Valentina turned to face her. What if they hate me? What if they see through this whole arrangement? They already know it's an arrangement, Cara. Everyone makes arrangements in our world. The question is whether you can play the role convincingly. I'm not a good actress. You don't need to be. You just need to stand beside Nico and look like you belong there. Francesca moved closer, adjusting Valentina's necklace, a simple diamond pendant that probably cost more than her father's debt. Let me tell you something about these families. They respect strength. They despise weakness. Show them no fear, and they'll respect you. Show them fear, and they'll devour you. No pressure then. Francesca smiled. You'll be fine. Besides, Nico won't let anyone disrespect you. He may be many things, but he protects what's his. I'm not his. Tonight you are. Tomorrow you are. The day after that you are. She cupped Valentina's face gently. Might as well get used to it. A knock at the door. Nico entered, stopping short when he saw her. You look, he seemed to struggle for words. Stunning. Your mother dressed me. My mother has excellent taste. He crossed to her, and Valentina noticed he was nervous too. It showed in the way he adjusted his cufflinks twice, the way his jaw was tight. Are you ready for this? No, but I don't think that matters. It matters to me. He took her hand, his thumb brushing her knuckles in that gesture that was becoming familiar. If this is too much, if you want me to cancel, an insult for the most powerful families in New York? I don't think so. They'll ask questions. They'll probe. They'll try to find weaknesses. Then we don't give them any. She squeezed his hand, surprising herself. "We're in this together, right? That's what you said." Something shifted in his expression. "Together?" "Yes." They went downstairs as a unit. Nico's hand at the small of her back, that possessive gesture that should have annoyed her, but instead felt grounding, protective. The formal dining room had been transformed. The table that usually sat 20 now hosted exactly that. The heads of 5 families, their wives, and their heirs. 20 people who held the fate of New York's underworld in their hands. 20 people who would judge whether Valentina Romano was worthy of becoming Valentina Salvatore. Nico made the introductions with practiced ease. Don Carmine DeLuca and his wife Sophia. An older man with silver hair and eyes like chips of ice. His wife was elegant, silent, watching Valentina with the intensity of a hawk spotting prey. Don Marco Vitali and his wife Isabella. Younger, aggressive, the kind of man who looked for fights. His wife seemed worn down, like she spent years absorbing his violence. Don Giuseppe Marino and his wife Rosa. Elderly, traditional, his handshake lingering too long on Valentina's hand. His wife looked like she'd been carved from marble, beautiful and cold. Don Salvatore Costa and his wife Elena, close to Nico's age, charming in a way that felt dangerous. His wife was stunning, sophisticated, and her smile never reached her eyes. And then there were the heirs, sons and daughters, nephews and nieces, all watching, all calculating, all wondering what this marriage meant for the careful balance of power. They sat for dinner, Valentina beside Nico at the head of the table, acutely aware of every eye on her. "So," Don Carmine said once the first course was served, "tell us about yourself, Miss Romano, your family." "My family has been in New York for 4 generations," Valentina replied, keeping her voice steady. "We run a restaurant in Little Italy. Nothing glamorous, but honest work. Honest work." Don Marco smiled like a shark. "How refreshing. So few of us can claim that anymore. My grandmother always said an honest day's work was worth more than a month of schemes." "Your grandmother was Lucia Romano?" Don Giuseppe's eyebrows rose. "I knew her. Formidable woman. Made the best osso buco in the city. She'd be pleased you remember. I remember she also had a sharp tongue and no tolerance for fools." His eyes glinted. "You remind me of her. I'll take that as a compliment." "You should." He turned to Nico. "This one has spine. Better choice than that Ashford girl you were seeing." Valentina felt Nico tense beside her. Lydia Ashford. Of course there had been someone before. There were always someone before. "Lydia and I were never serious," Nico said coolly. "She thought you were." Don Marco interjected. "Heard she wasn't pleased about this engagement. What Lydia thinks is irrelevant." "Is it?" Don Salvatore Costa leaned forward, his charming smile never wavering. "I heard she's been making noise, talking to people about how this marriage is just a business arrangement, how the great Nico Salvatore had to buy himself a wife." The table went quiet. Valentina felt her face heat, but forced herself to meet Don Salvatore's eyes. "It is a business arrangement," she said clearly. "We're not pretending otherwise. Our families benefit from this alliance. That's how it's always been done, isn't it?" "Ah, but usually both parties pretended affection." His eyes were calculating. "Usually there's some performance of love. You seem remarkably honest about the transaction. Would you prefer I lie?" "I prefer to know what I'm getting into. My family does significant business with the Salvatores. I need to know this marriage will strengthen Nico's position, not weaken it." "Then let me be clear." Valentina set down her fork, giving him her full attention. "I'm marrying Nico in 3 days. I'll stand beside him at every function, every meeting, every moment he needs me to. I'll represent this family with dignity and strength. What happens in private is between us, but in public, I'm his wife. Completely, unquestionably." Silence fell again. Then Don Carmine laughed, a deep, genuine sound. "I like her," he declared. "She's got fire. Your mother was like that, Nico, before your father broke her spirit. My spirit is quite intact. Thank you. Francesca said dryly from her end of the table. My apologies, Francesca. You remain unbreakable as always. He raised his glass. To the future, Mrs. Salvatore. May she keep our young Don on his toes. The others raised their glasses, some more enthusiastically than others. Valentina felt Nico's hand find hers under the table, squeezing gently. You did well, the gesture said. The dinner continued with less tension, but no less scrutiny. They asked about her education, her work, her family. They probed for weaknesses, tested her composure, watched for cracks in facade. Valentina answered honestly when she could, deflected when she couldn't, and refused to be intimidated. By the time dessert arrived, she felt like she'd run a marathon. Walk with me, Don Giuseppe said to her as the meal concluded. My legs are stiff from sitting. It wasn't a request. Valentina glanced at Nico, who gave a subtle nod. She stood, offering her arm to the elderly Don. They walked through the gardens, the old man moving slowly but steadily. You handled yourself well tonight, he said. Better than expected. You expected me to fail? I expected you to be another pretty face with nothing behind it. I'm pleased to be wrong. He stopped by a fountain, studying her. But let me give you some advice, girl. This world, our world, it's not kind to outsiders. I'm getting that impression. The other wives, they'll smile to your face and plant knives in your back. The men, they'll test you constantly, looking for any excuse to question Nico's judgment. And the enemies, and Nico has many, they'll see you as his weakness. He told me the same thing. Did he also tell you that marrying him put a target on your back? That there are people who would love to hurt him by hurting you? Valentina's blood chilled. No, he didn't mention that. Of course he didn't. He's trying to protect you. But you can't be protected from what you don't know about. Giuseppe's eyes were kind but serious. There's a man, Viktor Kozlov, Russian mob, very dangerous, very angry at Nico for a deal that went south last year. Word is he's planning something. Revenge. Why are you telling me this? Because I like your grandmother. Because I see potential in you. Because I don't want to attend your funeral in 6 months. He patted her hand. Be careful, child. Watch your back. Trust no one outside this family. And maybe not everyone inside it either. Not exactly a comforting pep talk. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to warn you. He turned back toward the house. Come, let's return before Nico thinks I've tried to steal you away. They rejoined the others in the formal living room, where coffee and liquor were being served. Nico immediately appeared at Valentina's side. What did he say to you? He asked quietly. That I should watch my back. He's right. There are enemies. Yes, he mentioned Viktor Kozlov specifically. Nico's expression darkened. Giuseppe talks too much. Or you talk too little. Were you going to tell me someone wants me dead? I was going to tell you after the wedding. Once you were legally protected by the family name. How thoughtful. Wait until I'm trapped before mentioning I'm a target. Valentina. Mr. Salvatore. A voice interrupted them. Valentina turned to see a young woman, mid-20s blonde, beautiful in a calculated way. I don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm Lydia Ashford. The woman Nico had dated. The one who wasn't pleased about the engagement. Miss Ashford. Valentina kept her voice neutral. Please call me Lydia. After all, we have so much in common. Her smile was poisonous. We've both been in Nico's bed, though I did it without a contract. The room went silent. Every conversation stopped. I turned to them. Nico's hand tightened on Valentina's waist. Lydia, leave. Now. Why? I'm just being friendly, welcoming the new bride into the fold. Lydia's eyes glittered with malice. Though I wonder how long this marriage will last once you get bored of playing house with someone you bought like cattle. Valentina felt rage bubble up, hot, immediate, cleansing. You're right, she said clearly, her voice carrying across the silent room. Nico and I do have a contract, a legal agreement that benefits both our families. We're not pretending it's some grand romance, but at least we're honest about what we are. She stepped closer to Lydia, her voice dropping to something dangerous. What's your excuse? What were you besides convenient distraction? Lydia's face flushed red. I'm gonna be his wife. Legal, permanent, protected by the Salvatore name and everything that comes with it. What were you? A pleasant diversion? Something to kill time? Valentina smiled without warmth. At least I know my value. Do you? How dare you? Lydia. Don Salvatore Costa appeared, his charm replaced with steel. That's enough. You weren't invited to this dinner. You need to leave. But now. The single word carried the weight of a man used to being obeyed. Lydia looked between them all. The assembled families, Nico's cold fury, Valentina's unwavering stare, and realized she'd lost. She turned and fled, her heels clicking sharply against marble. Silence held for another moment. Then Don Carmine started clapping slowly. Well done, girl. Well done indeed. He raised his glass again. To the future, Mrs. Salvatore, who clearly knows how to handle herself. The others joined in, some more genuine than others. But Valentina saw respect in their eyes that hadn't been there before. She'd drawn blood in social combat. She'd defended her position. She'd shown strength. She'd proven she could survive in their world. Later, after the families had left and the house was quiet, Valentina found herself on the terrace, needing air, needing space, needing to process everything that had happened. Nico found her there, of course. You didn't have to do that, he said quietly. Defend yourself against Lydia. Yes, I did. If I'd stayed silent, everyone would have thought I was weak. You're not weak. He moved beside her at the railing. You were magnificent. I was furious. There's a difference. Sometimes fury and magnificence are the same thing. He turned to face her. I'm sorry. About Lydia. About not warning you she might show up. About Victor Kozlov and every other danger I should have told you about. Why didn't you? Really? Because I wanted you to have a few more days of peace before you realized what you were walking into. His jaw tightened. Because I'm selfish enough to want you to marry me before you knew enough to run. I'm not running. You should be. Giuseppe was right. This world will try to destroy you. My enemies will target you. The wives will undermine you. Every day will be a battle. Then we fight. She took his hand, surprising them both. Together, like you said. You're choosing this? Knowing what it means. I'm choosing you. The words came out before she could stop them. For better or worse. Against Russian mobsters and poisonous ex-girlfriends and 5 families worth of judgment. I'm choosing you. Nico's eyes darkened with something intense and raw. Valentina. Don't tell me I shouldn't. Don't tell me it's dangerous or stupid, or that I'll regret it. Just, she struggled for words, just accept that I'm making this choice freely, that I want to be here. Even though I bought you, you gave me an out. You told me I could leave. I'm choosing to stay. She moved closer. That changes everything. He cupped her face in his hands, his touch gentle despite his strength. You terrify me. Good. Someone should. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. For 3 more days you could still... She kissed him, cut off his words, his protests, his self-doubt, pressed her lips to his and felt him freeze in shock before he responded with a hunger that took her breath away. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was fierce and desperate and real. Everything their arrangement wasn't. Everything they'd been holding back. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nico pressed his forehead to hers. That was... overdue, Valentina finished. I was going to say dangerous. Same thing. He laughed, the sound shaky. I'm trying to be noble here. Trying to give you space to change your mind. Stop being noble. Start being mine. I've been yours since you signed that contract. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. Maybe even before... Then stop fighting it. She kissed him again, softer this time. 3 days, Nico. In 3 days, I'm your wife. Might as well start acting like it. Is that what you want? It's what I'm choosing. And in that moment, on the terrace under the stars, everything shifted. The arrangement became real. The transaction became something more. The business deal became the beginning of something neither of them had expected, something that felt dangerously close to love. Chapter 5. The night before. 2 days before the wedding, Valentina woke to find Nico gone. Not just out of bed. They hadn't shared a bed yet, despite the kiss that still burned on her lips 2 nights later, but gone from the estate entirely. His car missing from the driveway. His phone going straight to voicemail. He does this sometimes. Francesca said over breakfast, reading Valentina's worry accurately. Disappears when the pressure gets too much. He'll be back by nightfall. Where does he go? Wherever he needs to clear his head. She sipped her espresso. My son carries a lot of weight. Cara, sometimes he needs to set it down for a few hours. He could have told me. Could he? Francesca's eyes were knowing. You two are still figuring out what you are to each other. How to communicate. How to be partners instead of strangers forced together. We kissed. I know. The entire staff knows. Luca had $20 on it happening within a week. Valentina's face heated. People were betting on us? People always bet on interesting things. And you two are very interesting. She smiled. Don't be embarrassed. It's good that you're finding your way to each other. The marriage will be much easier if there's genuine affection. Is that what this is? Affection? What do you think it is? Valentina set down her coffee cup, trying to articulate feelings she barely understood herself. I think it's terrifying. I think I'm falling for someone I barely know. Someone who bought me like property. Someone whose world is violence and danger, and everything I should run from. But you're not running. No, I'm not. She met Francesca's eyes. Does that make me stupid or brave? Both, probably. The best things in life usually require both. Francesca reached across the table, squeezing her hand. My husband, Nico's father, was not a good man. He was cruel, controlling, violent when he didn't get his way. I spent 30 years trying to survive him. I'm sorry. Don't be. I survived, raised 2 children, and outlived him by 10 years so far. She smiled without humor. But Nico terrified me when he was young. He had his father's intensity, his focus, his capacity for coldness. I thought I'd raise another monster. What changed your mind? He did. Little things. The way he protected his sister. The way he cried when our dog died, even though he tried to hide it. The way he asked my permission before making decisions that affected the family, even after his father died, and he technically didn't have to. She paused. He's fighting every day not to become his father. And I think you're the first person who's ever made him want to win that fight. Valentina's throat tightened. Why me? Because you see him. Really see him. Not the reputation, not the money, not the power. You see the man underneath. And he's been invisible for so long, I think he'd forgotten what it felt like to be seen. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Francesca stood. Come, let's do something useful with our nervous energy. We have a wedding to finish preparing for. The day passed in a blur of final details. Flowers arrived, white roses, elegant and simple, exactly what Valentina had requested. The cake was delivered, a 3-tier masterpiece that looked too beautiful to eat. The guest list was finalized, 50 people, small by mob wedding standards, but still overwhelming. But through it all, Valentina kept checking her phone, kept looking for Nico's car, kept wondering where he'd gone and why he hadn't told her. It was nearly midnight when she heard the front door open. She'd been in the library, pretending to read, but actually just worrying when his footsteps echoed in the hallway. She found him in his study, pouring whiskey with shaking hands. You're back. He spun around, clearly not expecting her. Valentina, I thought you'd be asleep. I was worried. She moved into the room, closing the door behind her. You disappeared. No message, no explanation. Just gone. I needed air. For 12 hours? I needed a lot of air. He downed the whiskey in one shot, then poured another. I'm sorry. I should have told you. Yes, you should have. She crossed him, taking the glass from his hand before he could drink it. What's wrong? And don't say nothing. I can see it all over you. Nico was silent for a long moment, his jaw working. Then, quietly, I went to see my father's grave. Valentina hadn't expected that. Why? Because today, technically I'm getting married. And I needed to... He trailed off, frustration clear. I needed to tell him he didn't win, that I'm not him, that I'm choosing something different. Did it help? No, because standing there, looking at his headstone, all I could think was, what if I am him? What if I'm fooling myself thinking I'm different? What if I hurt you the way he hurt my mother? Nico, I've killed people, Valentina. The words came out harsh, raw. Not hypothetically, not through orders. I've personally ended lives. I've beaten men bloody for disrespecting me. I've destroyed businesses, ruined families, done things that would make you sick if you knew the details. I know what you are. Do you? Really? He pulled away from her, moving to the window. Because from here, I look an awful lot like my father. Same business, same methods, same willingness to do whatever it takes. You're not the same. How do you know? Because your father wouldn't have spent 12 hours at a grave worrying about becoming him. He wouldn't care. He wouldn't question. She moved behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist, feeling him tense. You're fighting to be better. That's the difference. What if fighting isn't enough? Then we fight together. She pressed her cheek against his back. You told me we're partners. Partners don't let each other become monsters alone. He turned in her arms, his eyes searching her face. You should be terrified of me. I am. Sometimes. She touched his face gently. But I'm more terrified of a world where you don't exist in it. Valentina, tomorrow we get married. Tomorrow I become your wife legally, officially, permanently. But right now, tonight, I'm choosing you again. I'm choosing you scared and uncertain, and worried about becoming your father. I'm choosing all of you, even the parts that killed people. Even those, because they're part of who you are, part of what made you survive in this world. She held his gaze. I'm not naive enough to think you're some misunderstood hero. You're dangerous. You're ruthless when you need to be. You've done terrible things. And that doesn't frighten you away? It should, but it doesn't. She smiled slightly. Maybe that makes me as twisted as you are. He laughed, a broken, desperate sound, and pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. I don't deserve you. We've established that. Multiple times. Can we move past it? What if I can't be what you need? What if you already are? He pulled back to look at her, his eyes dark and intense. You're killing me, you know that? Every time you look at me like that, like I'm something worth saving, you're killing me. Good. Someone should. She rose on her tiptoes, bringing her lips close to his. Now kiss me like you mean it, like we're getting married tomorrow, and you actually want to. I do want to. His hands came up to frame her face. I want it more than I've ever wanted anything. Then show me. He did. Kissed her with a desperation that stole her breath, a hunger that made her knees weak, a tenderness that broke her heart. It wasn't the fierce kiss from the terrace. This was something deeper, more vulnerable, more real. This was Nico Salvatore without his armor, without his walls, without anything between them but truth. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. Stay with me tonight, he whispered. Not to consummate anything. Just stay. Sleep beside me. Let me wake up tomorrow knowing you're real. Isn't that bad luck? The groom seeing the bride before the wedding? We've already broken every rule. What's one more? Valentina should have said no, should have maintained some distance, some propriety, some sense of self-preservation. Instead, she took his hand. Show me your room. His suite was larger than hers, decorated in dark woods and deep blues, masculine without being oppressive. The bed was enormous, dominating the space. Valentina's heart hammered as Nico closed the door behind them. I meant it, he said quietly. Just sleeping. I'm not expecting. I know. She kicked off her shoes, suddenly exhausted from the emotional roller coaster of the day. I trust you. You shouldn't, but I do. She climbed onto bed, still in her clothes, jeans and a sweater, nothing romantic or seductive. Are you coming, or are you planning to stand there all night? Nico removed his jacket and shoes, but stayed otherwise dressed. He climbed in beside her, and for a moment they both just lay there, staring at the ceiling, hyper-aware of each other. Then Valentina rolled toward him, resting her head on his chest. His arm came around her automatically, holding her close. "Tell me something," she said into the darkness. "Something true that no one else knows." "I'm terrified of tomorrow." "Why?" "Because it makes everything real. Because once we're married, there's no pretending anymore. No safety net." His hand stroked her hair absently. "Because I'm afraid you'll wake up one day and realize you made a terrible mistake. What if I don't? What if I wake up every day and choose you again? Then I'll be the luckiest man alive." He pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Your turn. Tell me something true." Valentina was quiet for a moment, gathering courage. "I think I'm falling in love with you. And it terrifies me more than Russian mobsters or poisonous ex-girlfriends or 5 families worth of judgment." She felt him freeze beneath her. Then, so quietly she almost missed it, "I think I fell in love with you the moment you looked at me like I was a monster. Because it was the first honest thing anyone had shown me in years. That's a terrible basis for love. All the best love stories are built on terrible foundations." His arms tightened around her. "We'll just have to build something stronger on top of it. Together?" Together? They lay in the darkness, wrapped around each other, the weight of tomorrow pressing down but no longer crushing. Whatever came next, the wedding, the families, the dangers waiting outside these walls, they would face it together. Valentina drifted toward sleep, feeling safer than she had in days, in weeks, maybe in years. "Valentina?" Nico's voice was drowsy. Thank you." "For what?" "For staying. For choosing me. For seeing past a monster to whatever's underneath. There's a good man underneath. I'm sure of it. I hope you're right. I'm always right." He laughed softly. "That's going to make marriage interesting. You have no idea." She felt his smile against her hair. "Can't wait to find out." They fell asleep like that, tangled together, guards down, vulnerable in a way neither had been with anyone else. Tomorrow would bring challenges, dangers, the weight of vows and witnesses and expectations. But tonight they had this, each other, the truth between them, the choice they were making freely, despite everything. And somehow that was enough. Valentina woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows in a moment of disorientation before she remembered. She was in Nico's bed, in Nico's arms, on her wedding day. "You're awake." His voice was rough with sleep. "What time is it?" 6. "We have 3 hours before people start arriving. 3 hours until I'm your wife." Having second thoughts? She turned in his arms to face him. His hair was messed from sleep, his eyes soft in the morning light, his guard completely down. He looked younger like this. More human, more hers. No second thoughts. "You?" Terrified, but no second thoughts. "Good." She kissed him softly. "Because I'm not letting you back out now. Wouldn't dream of it." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Ready to do this? Ready to marry a mob boss, bind myself to a dangerous family, and spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder?" She smiled. "Absolutely not. But I'm doing it anyway. That's my girl." "Not yet. Give it 3 hours. You've been mine since you signed that contract." He kissed her again, deeper this time. "Today just makes it official." A knock at the door interrupted them. Francesca's voice. "Nico, Valentina, I know you're in there together. Don't bother lying. But you need to separate now. We have a wedding to prepare for." They looked at each other and laughed. The kind of laughter that comes from nerves and joy and the absurdity of trying to maintain propriety when everything else was already unconventional. "She's right," Valentina said, reluctantly pulling away. "I should go get ready." "One more kiss first?" "You're stalling." "Absolutely." But he kissed her anyway, soft and sweet and full of promise. See you at the altar? You better be there. I'm wearing a really expensive dress. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Valentina slipped back to her room, her heart full and her mind spinning. In 3 hours, everything would change. She'd become Valentina Salvatore. She'd bind herself to Nico permanently, legally, completely. And the terrifying thing was, she wanted it. All of it. Him. Forever. Chapter 6. Vows and Vengeance. The dress fit like it had been made for her body and no one else's. Which, technically it had. Valentina stood in front of a full-length mirror, barely recognizing herself. The ivory silk draped perfectly, elegant and understated, making her look like she belonged in this world even though she knew she didn't. Bellissima, Giorgio declared, wiping away actual tears. A masterpiece. You are a masterpiece. It's just a dress, Valentina said, but her voice shook. It's never just a dress, Cara. Francesca peered behind her, stunning in deep navy, her eyes suspiciously bright. It's armor. It's a statement. It's you stepping into a new life. I'm terrified. Good. Only fools walk into marriage without fear. She placed a necklace around Valentina's neck, diamonds and sapphires, clearly a family heirloom. My mother gave this to me on my wedding day. Now I give it to you. I can't accept this. You can. You will. You're family now. Francesca squeezed her shoulders. Even if my son somehow manages to mess this up, you'll always be my daughter. Remember that. A knock at the door. Marco entered, stopping short when he saw her. Val. His voice cracked. You look like I'm selling my soul? Like a queen. He crossed to her, taking her hands. Are you sure about this? Say the word, and I'll get you out of here. We'll run. I don't care about the debt or the restaurant or any of it. Just say the word. Valentina's throat tightened. I'm sure. You love him. It wasn't a question. I think I do, which is insane. Love usually is. Marco pulled her into a fierce hug. But if he hurts you, you'll do nothing, Valentina said firmly, pulling back. You'll stay out of it. You'll let me handle my own marriage. Promise me, Marco. He looked like he wanted to argue, but finally he nodded. Promise. But I'm watching him. Fair enough. Music started downstairs. Pachelbel's canon, traditional and expected. In 5 minutes, Valentina would walk down the aisle to marry a man she'd known for less than 2 weeks. A man she loved despite all logic and reason. Ready. Marco offered his arm. Their father was too ashamed to attend, couldn't face watching his daughter marry because of his mistakes. No, but let's do it anyway. The garden had been transformed. White roses everywhere. Elegant chairs arranged in perfect rows. 50 guests who controlled New York's underworld watching as she appeared at the top of the aisle. And at the end of it all, Nico, he wore a black tuxedo that fit him like sin, his dark hair swept back, his eyes locked on her with an intensity that made her stumble. Marco steadied her, squeezing her arm. Breathe, Val. Right. Breathing. Good idea. They walked down the aisle together. Past the 5 families. Past faces she recognized from dinner 2 nights ago. Past Lydia Ashford, who'd somehow got an invitation and was glaring daggers at her. Past all of it. Toward the man waiting for her like she was the only thing that mattered in his world. When they reached the altar, Marco kissed her cheek and placed her hand in Nico's. Take care of her, he said quietly. With my life, Nico promised. The officiant began, some words about love and commitment, and forever that Valentina barely heard over her hammering heart. She was too focused on Nico's face, on the way he was looking at her like she was something precious, something worth protecting, something worth loving. The couple had prepared their own vows, the officiant announced. Valentina's eyes widened. We have. Nico smiled slightly. I have, if you're willing to listen. I'm listening. He took both her hands, his thumbs brushing her knuckles in that gesture that had become theirs. Valentina Maria Romano, 10 days ago, you walked into my office hating me. You looked at me like I was a monster, and you were right. I am one, But you made me want to be something better. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly. I can't promise you a normal life. I can't promise you safety or peace or anything that most husbands promise their wives. But I can promise you honesty. I can promise you loyalty. I can promise that I will fight every day to be worthy of the choice you're making. He paused, his eyes searching hers. I promise to protect you, even from myself, to listen when you speak, to see you for who you are, not who I want you to be. And I promise to love you messily, imperfectly, but completely for the rest of my life. Valentina blinked back tears. You're making this very difficult. Good. Your turn. She hadn't prepared vows. Hadn't thought she'd need to. This was supposed to be a business arrangement, not a real marriage. But standing here, looking at this complicated, dangerous, beautiful man, she found the words came easily. Nico Salvatore, you bought my freedom with a contract. You gave it back with a choice. That's when I started falling for you, when you showed me you were more than your reputation. She squeezed his hands. I can't promise I'll always understand your world. I can't promise I won't be terrified sometimes. But I can promise to stand beside you, even when it's hard, to fight with you and for you, to see the man you're trying to become and believe in him even when you don't believe in yourself. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. And I promise to love you, stubbornly, fiercely, against all logic, for as long as we both shall live. Nico's eyes were suspiciously bright. That'll do. Just that'll do? Better than I deserve. Way better. But you're stuck with it now. The officiant cleared his throat. The rings? Luca appeared with a velvet box. Inside were 2 platinum bands, simple, elegant, eternal. Nico took Valentina's ring, sliding it onto her finger with reverent care. With this ring, I thee wed. Valentina took his ring, her hands shaking slightly. With this ring, I thee wed. Then by the power vested in me and witnessed by these families, I now pronounce you husband and wife. The officiant smiled. You may kiss your bride. Finally, Nico murmured, pulling her close. The kiss was nothing like the ones they'd shared in private. This one was a performance, yes, but also a promise, a claim, a statement to everyone watching that Valentina Romano was now Valentina Salvatore, and she was under his protection. When they broke apart, the guests applauded. Valentina turned to face them. 50 of the most dangerous people in New York, all smiling and clapping like this was a normal wedding. Like she wasn't terrified and exhilarated and completely in over her head. Ready? Nico murmured in her ear. For what? Everything. They walked back down the aisle together, married now, bound legally and emotionally for better or worse. Valentina caught glimpses of faces as they passed. Francesca crying openly, Marco looking protective, the 5 Dons nodding approval, Lydia seething in her seat. And in the back, a man she didn't recognize, tall, blonde, watching them with cold blue eyes and a slight smile that made her blood freeze. Nico, she whispered. Who is that? He followed her gaze and his entire body went rigid. That's not possible. Who is it? Viktor Kozlov. His voice was deadly quiet. He wasn't invited. He shouldn't be here. The Russian? The one who wants revenge. Yes. Nico's hand tightened on hers. Don't react. Don't show fear. Just keep walking. They continued through the garden, past the chairs, toward the house where the reception would be held. But Valentina felt Victor's eyes on her the entire way. When they were finally inside, Nico immediately signaled to Luca. Kozlov is here. Get him out. Quietly. On it. Nico, what's happening? Valentina asked. Nothing you need to worry about. But his jaw was tight, his eyes scanning the room constantly. Just a message. He's showing us he can get to us anywhere. That's terrifying. That's the point. He pulled her close, his voice dropping. But he won't touch you. I won't let him. You can't promise that. Watch me. The reception began with all the traditional elements. Champagne, toasts, dinner, the cutting of the cake. Valentina smiled and played the perfect bride, but she couldn't shake the image of Victor's cold eyes watching them. During their first dance, Nico held her close enough that she could feel his heartbeat. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "This was supposed to be your day, your moment, and he ruined it." He didn't ruin it. He just reminded us what world we live in. She leaned back to meet his eyes. "I knew what I was getting into." "Did you?" "Really, I'm starting to." She smiled slightly, though I reserved the right to panic later. "Fair enough." He spun her gently. "You were beautiful today. Are beautiful. I can't stop staring at you." "That's the dress." "It's you." His hand tightened on her waist. "It's always been you." They danced through the song, lost in each other, almost forgetting the 50 dangerous people watching them. Almost. When the song ended, Don Carmine approached. "Beautiful ceremony. Your vows were unexpected." "Is that a compliment?" Valentina asked. "It's an observation. Most mob weddings are performances. Yours felt real." "It was real." "Then you're either very brave or very foolish." He studied her. "Time will tell which." He moved away, and other guests came to offer congratulations. The wives were warmer now than at dinner. She'd proven herself worthy, apparently. The men treated her with a respect that hadn't been there before. She was one of them now, for better or worse. Hours later, when the guests had finally left and the house was quiet, Valentina found herself in her. Their bedroom. The staff had moved her things to Nico's suite while they were at the reception. She was officially Mrs. Salvatore now, in every way. Except one. Nico appeared in the doorway, having shed his jacket and tie, looking exhausted but relieved. "Hey, wife." "Hey, husband." The word felt strange on her tongue. Foreign but not unpleasant. "Long day. Longest of my life." He moved into the room, keeping a careful distance. "Are you okay?" After Kozlov. Terrified. "But okay." She turned to face him fully. "What does he want?" "Revenge. Blood. Me dead, ideally." Nico ran a hand through his hair. "Last year, we did a deal that went badly. He blames me. Probably rightly. Will he come after me?" "He might try, but he'll have to get through me first." His eyes were hard. "And I won't let that happen. You can't be with me every second. Watch me try." Valentina moved closer, placing her hands on his chest. "I'm not fragile, Nico. I'm not some delicate thing that will break at the first sign of danger. I know that, but you're mine now. Legally, officially. And I protect what's mine." There's that possessiveness again. "Does it bother you?" She considered. "It should, but it doesn't." She rose on her tiptoes, kissing him softly. "Because I'm possessive too. You're mine, Nico Salvatore, and I protect what's mine." He smiled against her lips. "God, I love you." "I know. You told 50 people earlier. I'm telling you again. I love you, Valentina Salvatore. I love you too." She pulled back slightly. "Now, husband, what are your intentions for our wedding night?" "My intentions?" His eyes darkened. "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "I'm asking if you're planning to consummate this marriage, or if we're going to spend another night just sleeping." "What do you want?" "I want you." The words came out breathier than intended. "All of you. No more waiting. No more hesitation. We're married now. Make me your wife in every way." Nico's control visibly frayed. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He cupped her face, his thumbs brushing her cheekbones. "Then let me do this right. Let me—" A crash from downstairs. Shouting. Gunfire. They froze, eyes locked. The moment shattered. "Stay here," Nico commanded, already moving toward the door. "Like hell." Valentina grabbed his arm. "We're partners, remember? What affects you affects me." More gunfire. Screaming. The sound of breaking glass. Nico pulled a gun from seemingly nowhere, had he had that on him during the wedding, and checked the magazine with practiced ease. "Fine, but stay behind me. Don't be a hero. I'm already married to one." "That's enough." They moved together through the house, Nico leading with the gun, Valentina right behind him. When they reached the top of the stairs, they saw chaos below. Men in black. 6 of them. tearing through the house. Luca and other guards fighting back. Francesca being shielded by one of the soldiers, her face pale but composed. And in the center of it all, Viktor Kozlov, holding a gun, smiling. "Ah, the happy couple," he called out in heavily accented English. Come down. We have things to discuss." "Get out of my house," Nico said, his voice deadly calm. "Your house? I think you mean your tomb." Victor's smile widened. "You see, Nico, you took something from me last year. Money, reputation, respect. So I'm taking something from you." He turned the gun toward Francesca. "No!" Nico started down the stairs, but Victor's men moved to block him. Stay there." Victor's finger moved to the trigger. "Or I end this now." Time seemed to slow. Valentina saw Nico's face. The helplessness, the rage, the desperate calculation as he tried to find a way to save his mother. She saw Francesca standing proud, refusing to show fear even with a gun pointed at her heart. She saw Victor's finger tightening on the trigger, and she moved down the stairs, pushing past Nico's guards, throwing herself between Victor and Francesca just as the gun fired. The impact knocked her backward. Pain exploded in her shoulder. She heard Nico scream her name, heard more gunfire, this time from his weapon and the guards. Then everything went dark. Chapter 7, Blood and Promises. Pain. That was the first thing Valentina became aware of. Sharp, burning pain in her shoulder that radiated through her entire body. Then voices. Shouting. Nico's voice above all others, raw and desperate. "Get the doctor. Now. Now." She tried to open her eyes, but her lids felt like lead. Tried to speak, but her mouth wouldn't cooperate. "Valentina, stay with me. Don't you dare leave me. Not today. Not like this." Nico's hands on her face, warm and shaking. "Please, baby, please stay with me." Baby. He'd never called her that before. She wanted to tell him she was trying, that she wasn't going anywhere, that it would take more than a bullet to kill her. But darkness pulled her under before she could form the words. When Valentina woke again, she was in a bed. Not her bed. The sheets were crisp and white, smelling of antiseptic. Medical equipment beeped steadily beside her, and 4 drip fed into her arm. And Nico sat in a chair beside her, his head in his hands, blood, her blood, still staining his white wedding shirt. "Nico!" His head snapped up, his eyes red-rimmed and wild. "Valentina. Oh, God, you're awake." He was beside her in an instant, his hands hovering like he was afraid to touch her. "How do you feel?" "Like I've been shot." Her voice came out raspy. "Water?" He practically lunged to the pitcher on the bedside table, helping her drink with shaking hands. When she had enough, he set aside but didn't let go of her hand. The doctor removed the bullet. He said, quietly, "It went through your shoulder, missed a bone, missed major arteries. You're lucky. I feel lucky." She tried to smile, but it hurt. "What happened? After you threw yourself in front of a bullet meant for my mother?" His voice cracked. "After you nearly died on our wedding night? After you—" He stopped, his jaw clenching. "My men killed 3 of Victor's. The others fled, including Victor. My mother is safe. You saved her life." "Good. Good." He stared at her. "You were shot, Valentina. You could have died. And you say, good. She's your mother. Of course I saved her. She's not worth your life. To you she is, which means she's worth mine too." Valentina squeezed his hand weakly. "We're family now, remember?" Nico made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. "You're insane. Completely, utterly insane. Maybe, but I'm your kind of insane." He pressed her hand to his lips, his eyes squeezing shut. "When I saw you fall, when I saw the blood, I thought—" His voice broke. "I thought I'd lost you. Hours after making you my wife. I thought I'd lost you. You didn't. I'm right here. You're in a hospital bed with a bullet wound. Because of my enemies, my world, Our world," she corrected. "I chose this, remember? All of it, including the dangerous parts. You shouldn't have had to choose this. You should have run when I gave you the chance. But I didn't, and I won't. She tried to sit up, gasping as pain shot to her shoulder. Nico immediately helped her, adjusting pillows, his touch infinitely gentle. How long was I out? 6 hours. The doctor said the shock and blood loss. He stopped, his jaw clenching. He said you were lucky, that a few inches to the right and... But it wasn't. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're... He ran his hands through his hair, the gesture agitated. I can't do this. I can't put you in danger like this. I can't watch you bleed because of me. Valentina's heart sank. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe Giuseppe was right. Maybe loving you makes me weak, makes me vulnerable, makes me... Stop. She grabbed his hand with her good arm, ignoring the pain. Don't do this. Don't push me away because you're scared. I'm not scared. I'm terrified. I can see it all over you. She pulled him closer. But pushing me away won't keep me safe. It'll just make us both miserable. You almost died. But I didn't. And I'd do it again. Every time. That's what love is, Nico. It's choosing someone even when it's dangerous. Even when it hurts. Even when... The door burst open. Francesca rushed in, still in her navy dress from the wedding, her face pale and drawn. Valentina, grazie a Dio. She moved the bed, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you were hurt because of me. You have nothing to apologize for. You took a bullet meant for me. You barely know me, and you took a bullet. You're my mother-in-law. You're Nico's mother. Of course I took the bullet. Valentina smiled weakly. Besides, you gave me your mother's necklace. That makes us family. Francesca let out a sob and carefully, mindful of the injury, embraced Valentina. You're a Salvatore now. In every way that matters. My daughter, my brave, foolish, wonderful daughter. Over Francesca's shoulder, Valentina saw Nico's expression. Love and fear and guilt all warring for dominance. She held his gaze, trying to communicate without words. I'm okay. We're okay. Don't you dare give up on us. When Francesca finally pulled back, wiping her eyes, she turned to her son. Have you told her? Told me what? Valentina asked. Nico's jaw tightened. Not yet. Tell her. She deserves to know. Know what? Valentina looked between them. What's going on? Nico moved to the window, his back to her, his shoulders rigid. Victor escaped. We don't know where he is, which means he's still a threat, still planning revenge. So we find him. It's not that simple. He has resources, connections, places to hide. Nico turned back to face her, and now he knows my weakness. I'm not a weakness. I'm your wife. You're both, and that makes you a target. His voice was flat, emotionless, the businessman's tone he used when hiding his feelings. I have two options. I can keep you here, under constant guard, essentially a prisoner, or I can send you away, somewhere safe, somewhere he can't reach you. Valentina's blood went cold. You want to send me away? On our wedding night. I want to keep you alive. Then keep me here, with you, where we can protect each other. I can't protect you. The words burst out of him, raw and anguished. I couldn't protect you tonight. I watched you get shot, and I couldn't stop it. What kind of husband, what kind of man can't protect his wife? The kind who's human. Valentina struggled to sit up fully, ignoring the pain. The kind who isn't omnipotent. The kind who watched his wife bleed out on their wedding night because he brought danger into her life. No, the kind whose wife chose to protect his family, because that's what family does. She held his gaze. You didn't make me take that bullet, Nico. I chose to, just like I'm choosing to stay. Even if staying means more danger, more threats, more nights like tonight. Especially then, because that's what for better or worse means. She reached out her good hand. Come here. He moved to her slowly, like he was afraid he'd break her with a touch. She took his hand and placed it over her heart, letting him feel the steady beat. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm yours. She covered his hand with hers. And I'm not going anywhere. Not because of Victor. Not because of bullets. Not because you're scared. We're married now. You're stuck with me. You're injured because of me. I'm alive because you got me medical help. I'm safe because you killed the men who attacked us. I'm lucky to be alive. His voice broke. You're lucky, and that's not good enough. I need to know you're safe. I need to know. Valentina pulled him down and kissed him, cutting off a spiral. It hurt. Everything hurt. But she needed him to understand. Needed him to stop trying to push her away for her own good. When she pulled back, his eyes were wet. I can't lose you, he whispered. I just found you. I can't lose you. You won't. We're going to find Victor. We're going to end this threat. Together. She touched his face gently. But you have to stop trying to protect me from your world. I'm in your world now. It's our world. Our fight. Our fight, he repeated, like he was testing the words. Together, like we promised. She smiled slightly. Or did you forget your vows already? I promise to protect you. And I promise to stand beside you, not behind you, beside you. She squeezed his hand. Let me, Nico. Let me be your partner in this. All of it. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. Together. Together. Francesca, who'd been silent during their exchange, cleared her throat. I'll leave you two alone. But Valentina, thank you. For my life. For my son. For everything. After she left, Nico carefully climbed onto the hospital bed beside Valentina, mindful of her injury. She rested her head on his shoulder, feeling his heart hammering against her cheek. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for trying to push you away, for thinking I knew what was best for you. You're forgiven. This time. Do it again, and I'll shoot you myself. He laughed, a shaky, broken sound. Noted. They lay in silence for a while, both processing the chaos of their wedding day. The vows, the attack, the blood, the fear. Nico. Yeah, this is the worst wedding night in history. Probably. He pressed a kiss to her hair. Rain check. Rain check. She smiled against his chest. But you owe me a proper honeymoon. Somewhere with no Russians, no guns, and no attempted murders. I'll see what I can arrange. And Nico? Yeah. I love you, even with the bullets and the chaos, and the worst wedding night ever. I love you. His arms tightened around her carefully. I love you, too. So much it terrifies me. Good. Terror keeps you sharp. He laughed again, and this time it sounded more real. How are you making jokes right now? You were shot 6 hours ago. It's either joke or cry, and I've cried enough today. She tilted her head up to look at him. Besides, someone has to keep your spirits up. You look like death. I feel like it. He traced her face with gentle fingers. When I saw you fall. I know, but I didn't fall completely. I'm still here. You're still here, he echoed, like he needed to convince himself. A knock at the door. Luca entered, looking exhausted and sporting a black eye. Boss, we have a problem. Of course we do. Nico carefully extracted himself from bed, immediately shifting into business mode. What kind of problem? Victor left a message. At the scene. Written in. He glanced at Valentina, hesitating. In what? She asked. Blood. Luca finished. One of our men's blood. It says, next time I won't miss. The room went cold. Nico's expression turned to stone. Double the guard. No one in or out without my personal approval. And put a detail on Valentina. Round the clock. Already done, boss. Good. Nico moved back to Valentina's bedside, his hand finding hers. He wants a war. He'll get one. Nico. No. His eyes were hard. He threatened you. He shot you. He's declared war on my family. And I'm going to end him. Valentina saw it then. The transformation from the man who'd held her so gently to the Don who'd built an empire through ruthlessness. This was a side of him she'd heard about but hadn't fully seen until now. Il Diavolo, the devil. And despite everything, the pain, the fear, the chaos, she wasn't afraid of him. Then we end him, she said firmly. But we do it smart, not angry. Smart and angry, Nico compromised. I can multitask. Clearly, she squeezed his hand. But first, you need a shower. You're still covered in my blood, and it's distracting. He looked down at himself, seeming to notice the blood-soaked shirt for the first time. Right. I'll go. Clean up. Get some rest. I'll still be here when you get back. Promise? Promise. She smiled. I'm not going anywhere without you. He kissed her forehead, then her lips, gentle and reverent. I'll be back in an hour. Try not to get shot again in my absence. I'll do my best. After he left with Luca, Valentina lay back against the pillows, exhaustion washing over her. Her shoulder throbbed. Her head ached. Her wedding dress was ruined. But she was alive. Nico was safe. Francesca was safe. And Victor Kozlov had just made the biggest mistake of his life. He declared war on the Salvatore family. Her family now. And she would be damned if she let some Russian gangster destroy what she just built. Bring it on, she whispered to the empty room. I'm ready. Chapter 8, The Devil's Deal. 3 days after the shooting, Valentina was cleared to leave the hospital, against the doctor's protests, against Nico's better judgment, and definitely against her own body's wishes. You need rest, the doctor insisted for the 10th time. I need to go home, Valentina countered, already dressed despite the pain in her shoulder. I'll rest there. Mrs. Salvatore is leaving today, now. She turned to Nico, who stood by the window looking like he hadn't slept in those 3 days. Tell him. She's leaving, Nico confirmed, though his expression said he agreed with the doctor. But with a full medical team on standby at the estate, and armed guards, Luca added from the doorway. Everywhere. Wonderful. A hospital room at home with guns. Valentina managed to smile, despite the pain. Living the dream. The drive back to the estate was tense. Nico insisted she lie down in the back of the armored SUV, his hand never leaving hers. 2 additional vehicles flanked him. Security had tripled since the attack. This is excessive, Valentina said quietly. Victor is still out there. It's not excessive enough. Have you heard anything? Any leads? He's gone underground. His usual contacts have gone silent. Either they're helping him hide, or they're too afraid to talk. Nico's jaw tightened. But we'll find him. It's only a matter of time. When they arrive at the estate, Francesca was waiting at the door, along with what looked like the entire household staff. They applauded as Valentina emerged from the car, a spontaneous gesture that brought tears to her eyes. Welcome home, Mrs. Salvatore, Francesca said, embracing her carefully. Your room is ready. The doctor is set up in the East Wing, and I've ordered enough food to feed an army because you need to regain your strength. Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, daughter, for my life, for my son's sanity, for being exactly what this family needed. Nico helped Valentina inside, up the stairs, to their bedroom. It had been transformed, medical equipment discreetly placed, flowers everywhere, the bed made with fresh sheets that smelled of lavender. You did all this? Valentina asked. Mama did most of it. I just supervised. He helped her sit on the bed. How's the pain? Manageable. The medication helps. You should rest. I should help plan. Victor is my problem too now. Valentina. Don't. She grabbed his hand. Don't shut me out of this. You promised we'd handle it together. He was quiet for a moment, clearly torn between protecting her and respecting her wishes. Finally, tomorrow. Today you rest. Tomorrow we plan. Deal. He helped her change into comfortable clothes, his touch gentle and clinical despite the intimacy of the act. When she was settled under the covers, he moved to leave. Where you going? To let you sleep? Sleep with me? The words came out more vulnerable than she intended. Please. I haven't slept properly since the wedding. I need to know you're here. Something in his expression softened. He removed his shoes and climbed beside her, careful of her injured shoulder. Valentina immediately curled into his side, breathing in assent, feeling safe for the first time in days. Nico. Yeah. Thank you for not sending me away. His arms tightened around her. I thought about it. Every hour you were in that hospital, I thought about putting you on a plane to somewhere safe. Somewhere Victor couldn't reach you. But you didn't. But I didn't. Because you were right. We're partners. And partners don't abandon each other when things get hard. He pressed a kiss to her hair. Even when every instinct screams at me to lock you in a tower and throw away the key, I just picked the lock. I know. That's why I love you. They drifted off together, exhaustion finally winning over fear and pain. Valentina woke to voices downstairs. Angry voices. She checked the clock. She'd slept for 4 hours. Nico's side of the bed was empty and cold. She got up carefully, her shoulder protesting, and made her way downstairs. The voices were coming from Nico's study. Cannot let this stand. Don Carmine's voice furious. He attacked you at your wedding, shot your wife, left a message in blood. This is an act of war. I'm aware. Nico's voice was cold, controlled, which is why I'm handling it. You're taking too long. The other families are watching, waiting to see how you respond. I'll respond when I find him, not before. Valentina pushed open the door. Inside, the 5 Dons stood around Nico's desk, all looking various shades of angry and impatient. They turned when she entered. Mrs. Salvatore. Don Giuseppe said, surprised. You should be resting. I was. Then I heard shouting. She moved to Nico's side, her presence a statement. What's going on? The families are concerned, Nico said carefully. About Victor, about my response. Or lack thereof, Don Marco interjected. With respect, Nico, every day you wait makes you look weak. Makes all of us look weak. I look weak. Nico's voice dropped to something dangerous. My wife was shot 3 days ago. Forgive me if revenge isn't my top priority while she's still recovering. That's exactly the problem. Don Salvatore Costa leaned forward. You're letting emotion cloud judgment. You're hesitating because of her. Careful, Nico warned. He's right, though. Don Vitali's wife, Isabella, spoke up. Not that you shouldn't care about your wife. Of course you should. But the families need to see strength. Need to see that attacking a Salvador has consequences. There will be consequences, Valentina said quietly. All eyes turned to her. But we're not rushing into a trap, just to prove we're tough. With respect, Mrs. Salvatore, this isn't your concern. Don Marco said dismissively. Isn't it? I'm the one who got shot. I'm the one Victor is threatening. I'm a Salvatore now. She met his gaze steadily. That makes it exactly my concern. She's right. Francesca said from the doorway. This is her fight as much as Nico's. Francesca, Don Giuseppe started. Don't Francesca me, Giuseppe. I was there. I nearly died. Valentina took a bullet meant for me. She has every right to be part of this conversation. Silence fell. The men looked uncomfortable. Women weren't usually involved in family business beyond social functions. But Valentina had broken that rule by bleeding for them. Fine, Don Carmine said finally. What do you suggest, Mrs. Salvatore? Valentina hadn't expected to be asked, but she'd been thinking about this for 3 days, lying in that hospital bed. Victor wants Nico to react emotionally, to come at him angry and reckless. That's when mistakes happen. That's when people die. So we do nothing? Don Marco scoffed. No, we set a trap. She looked at Nico. We give him what he wants. Me? Absolutely not. Nico's voice was flat, final. Hear me out. Victor thinks I'm weak, that I'm your vulnerability. We use that. We let him think he has an opening. By using you as bait? No, never. Not happening. It's not a bad idea, Don Salvatore Costa said thoughtfully, if done right. There is no done right that involves putting Valentina in danger. Nico's hands were clenched into fists. Find another way. What other way? Don Marco challenged. He's in hiding. He won't surface unless we draw him out. And the only thing that will draw him out is her. Then we find him without drawing him out. How? He's had 3 days to disappear. He could be anywhere. He's at the North Side warehouse. Everyone turned to look at Valentina. She pulled out her phone, showing them a text message. He contacted me this morning, while I was sleeping. Said if Nico wanted to settle this, it would be at the warehouse. Tomorrow night. Just him. Unarmed. The room exploded with voices. Everyone talking at once. Nico snatched her phone, reading the message, his face going white then red with rage. When were you planning to tell me about this? I just saw it when I woke up. That's why I came down. She met his furious gaze calmly. He's baiting you. Obviously. It's a trap. Obviously. Which is why I'm not going. You have to. Don Carmine's voice cut through the chaos. He's challenged you publicly. If you don't respond, you look like a coward. I don't care how I look. You should, Don Giuseppe said quietly, because the families care. The streets care. Your own men care. You can't let this stand, Nico. Nico looked around the room, seeing the truth in their faces. Then his eyes landed on Valentina. This is your fault. My fault. If I didn't love you, I could make the smart play. I could walk into that warehouse knowing I might not walk out and not care. But now, his voice cracked slightly. Now I have something to lose. Then don't go alone, Valentina said softly. Take backup. Set your own trap. He said unarmed. Alone. And you believe him? Don Vitale laughed harshly. He'll have 20 men there. This is an execution, not a duel. Then we match his numbers, Lucas said from the doorway. We set up positions around the warehouse. He wants Nico alone? Nico walks in alone, but he's not really alone. It could work, Don Salvatore Costa said slowly. If we're smart about it, if we plan it right. Nico was quiet, his jaw working. Valentina could see the calculation happening. The businessman weighing odds against the husband wanting to protect his wife. No, he said finally. Too risky. We find another way. There is no other way. Valentina moved closer to him. You know it. I know it. Everyone in this room knows it. She took his hands. So we go. Together. We end this. And we come home. You're not going anywhere near that warehouse. Try to stop me. Valentina. I'm not asking permission. I'm telling you. Her voice was steel. Victor made this personal when he shot me, when he threatened our family. I'm finishing this. With you or without you. The room went silent. The Dons watched this power struggle with fascination. A new bride standing up to one of the most dangerous men in New York. Nico's eyes searched her face. You're serious. Completely? You could die. So could you. But we're doing this anyway. He pulled her close, mindful of her shoulder, his voice dropping to a whisper only she could hear. I can't lose you. You won't. We're going to win. Together. She pulled back to meet his eyes. Trust me. I do. That's the problem. He looked around the room. Fine. We go. But we do it my way. With backup. With every advantage we can create. Agreed, Don Carmine said. We'll provide men. Weapons. Whatever you need. Tomorrow night, then. Nico's voice was cold, all emotion locked away. We and Victor Kozlov. The meeting continued, devolving into logistics and planning. Valentina tried to follow, but exhaustion and pain were catching up to her. Francesca noticed and gently guided her out. You should rest more, she said once they were alone. Tomorrow will be difficult. I know, but I can't let Nico face this alone. He wouldn't be alone. He'd have his men. That's not the same as having me. Valentina met her eyes. You understand, don't you? Why I need to be there. Francesca was quiet for a moment. Then, yes, I understand. When you love someone, you stand beside them, even into danger, especially into danger. She touched Valentina's cheek gently. But please be careful. I just got a daughter. I'd like to keep her. I'll do my best. That night, Valentina lay awake long after Nico had fallen into exhausted sleep beside her. Tomorrow they would walk into Victor's trap. Tomorrow they would risk everything. Tomorrow she might die. But she wouldn't let Nico face it alone. Wouldn't let him become the cold, isolated man his father had been, making all decisions solo, trusting no one. They were partners, for better or worse, in business and in blood. She felt Nico's arms tighten around her in his sleep, like even unconscious, he was trying to protect her. "I'll protect you too," she whispered into the darkness. "I promise." The warehouse sat on the edge of the city, abandoned for years, windows broken, walls covered in graffiti. A perfect place for an ambush. Valentina checked her vest one more time, bulletproof, uncomfortable, but necessary. Nico had insisted. She'd insisted on a gun. They'd compromised, vest and gun, but she stayed in the car until he gave the signal. "Promise me," Nico said for the 10th time. "Promise you'll stay in the car." "I promise I'll stay in the car until you need me." "That's not the best you're getting." She grabbed his face, kissing him hard. "Be careful. Be smart. Come back to me. Always." He kissed her again, softer. "I love you. I love you too. Now go in this." She watched him walk toward the warehouse, flanked by Luca and 4 other men. Around the perimeter, she knew, were 50 more. The 5 families had contributed their best soldiers. This wasn't just about Nico anymore. This was about respect, about power, about sending a message that the Salvatores couldn't be touched. Valentina's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "He's not in the warehouse. He's behind you." She spun around just as her car door was yanked open. Victor Kozlov stood there, gun pointed at her head, smiling. "Hello, Mrs. Salvatore. Going somewhere." Chapter 9, Breaking Point. Valentina's training with her father's restaurant security system kicked in, the panic button under the driver's seat. Her finger found it even as Victor's gun pressed against her temple. She pressed it. "Out of the car," Victor commanded. "Slowly. No sudden moves, or I decorate this leather with your brains." Valentina climbed out, her shoulders screaming in protest. The bulletproof vest felt useless. He'd shoot her in the head if she tried anything. "Walk." Victor gestured toward a black van parked 20 feet away. "Your husband and his army are busy searching an empty warehouse. By the time they realize you're gone, we'll be far away. Where are you taking me?" "Does it matter? You'll be dead either way." His smile was cold. "But Nico, he'll live with knowing he failed to protect you. That's a fate worse than death for a man like him." Valentina's mind raced. The panic button would alert the security team, but how long would it take them to respond? 30 seconds? A minute? Too long. She needed to stall. "Why do you hate him so much?" she asked, walking as slowly as possible toward the van. "What did he do to you?" "What did he do?" Victor laughed harshly. "He destroyed my life, my business, my reputation, over a deal that should have made us both rich." "What deal?" "Weapons shipment. $500,000 in guns that never arrived because your husband decided to keep them for himself. Blame me for the theft. Turn the other families against me." Victor's grip tightened on her arm. "I lost everything. My territory, my respect, my brother." "Your brother?" "Killed himself after Nico destroyed our family name. Couldn't live with the shame." Victor's voice turned venomous. "So I decided to return the favor. Take everything from Nico, starting with you." They were 10 feet from the van. Valentina could see a driver inside, engine running. Once she was in that van, she was dead. "The guns," she said desperately, stalling. "Did Nico really steal them? Or did someone else set you both up?" Victor hesitated. "What?" "Think about it. Who benefits from you two destroying each other? Who gains from the Salvatore family being weakened by vendetta? You're trying to manipulate me. I'm trying to survive." She met his eyes. "But I'm also right. Someone played you both. And you're too focused on revenge to see it." For a moment, uncertainty flickered across Victor's face. Then it hardened again. Nice try. But I know what happened. I know what your husband did. And now he pays. He shoved her toward the van door. And Valentina moved, not away from him, toward him, inside his guard, using her good arm to grab his wrist, twisting hard the way Marco had taught her in those self-defense classes she'd taken years ago. The gun went off. The bullet missed her by inches. Victor roared in fury, backhanding her across the face. Valentina stumbled, tasting blood, but didn't let go of his wrist. If she let go, she was dead. They struggled. Victor was stronger, but she was desperate. His finger found the trigger again. A shot rang out, but not from Victor's gun. Victor jerked, his eyes going wide. Blood bloomed across his chest. He looked down in disbelief, then collapsed. Valentina spun around to see Nico standing 20 feet away, gun still raised, his face a mass of cold fury. "Get away from my wife," he said quietly. Behind him, Luca and a dozen other men were already surrounding the area. The van's driver tried to flee, but was tackled before he made it 3 steps. Nico crossed to Valentina in 3 strides, pulling her against him with his free hand, while keeping the gun trained on Victor's prone form. "Are you hurt?" "I'm okay." "How did you—" Panic button. Luca triangulated your position. His voice was shaking now, the adrenaline fading to reveal terror. "When we got to the warehouse, and it was empty, when I realized it was a trap, that he was really after you." "I'm okay," she said again, holding him as tightly as her injured shoulder allowed. "I'm okay. You got here in time." "Barely." He pulled back to look at her, his hand gentle on her bruised face where Victor had hit her. "He hit you? It's just a bruise." "He put his hands on you." "He—" Nico's control cracked. "I'm going to kill him." "You already shot him." "Not dead enough." Nico moved toward Victor's body, murder in his eyes, but Valentina grabbed his arm. "Wait." "Why?" "He tried to kill you. Twice." "Because he said something. About the guns. About someone setting you both up." She looked at Victor, who was clutching his chest, blood pooling beneath him, but still breathing. "Who was it, Victor? Who really stole those weapons?" Victor's laugh was wet, painful. "Does it matter? I'm dying." "It matters to me." Nico crouched beside him, gun pointed at his head. "Tell me the truth, and I'll make this quick. Lie and I'll make you suffer." Victor coughed, blood speckling his lips. "Marco DeLuca, the underboss. He approached me months before. Said he could arrange a deal. Weapons for drugs. Said you'd approved it. I never approved any such deal. I know that now." Another cough. "But then I trusted him. He set us both up, kept the weapons, sold them to someone else. Blamed you to me, blamed me to you. Wanted us to destroy each other." "Why?" "To weaken you, so the DeLuca family could take over." Victor's eyes were fading. "He wanted to be Don. Couldn't while you were strong. So he made you weak." Nico's jaw clenched. "Marco DeLuca has been dead for 6 months. I killed him myself for betraying the family. Then I die for nothing." Victor smiled bloodily. "Appropriate. My whole life for nothing." "Not for nothing," Valentina said quietly. "You just told us the truth. That's something." Victor's eyes found hers. "You're too good for him. Too good for this world." His breathing rattled. "I'm sorry. For shooting you. For all of it. I just wanted revenge." "I know," Valentina said softly. Victor's eyes went glassy. His breathing stopped. Silence fell over the scene, broken only by distant sirens. Police, probably, responding to gunfire reports. "We need to go," Luca said quietly. "Now." Nico holstered his gun and pulled Valentina close. "Can you walk?" "I can run if needed. That's my girl." He guided her quickly to one of the waiting cars. Within minutes, they were gone, leaving only Victor's body in the van for police to puzzle over. In the car, Valentina finally let herself shake, reaction setting in, adrenaline fading, reality crashing down. "I almost died," she whispered. "But you didn't." Nico pulled her onto his lap, careful of her shoulder, holding her like she might disappear. You fought back. You stalled him. You stayed alive until I got there. I was terrified. You were magnificent. He pressed his face into her hair. When I realized the warehouse was a trap, when I understood he'd gone after you instead, I thought, his voice broke. I thought I'd lost you. But you didn't. I'm here. I'm alive. We both are. They held each other as the car sped through the night, away from death and toward home. Back at the estate, the 5 Dawns were waiting. They'd heard about the confrontation, about Victor's death, about Valentina's narrow escape. It's done! Nico announced as they entered. Victor Kozlov is dead. And the threat? Don Carmine asked. Ended. There's no one left to carry out his vendetta. Nico's arm stayed around Valentina's waist. It's over. Not quite. Don Giuseppe stepped forward. Victor said Marco De Luca set you both up. That means the De Luca family may have been complicit. Marco acted alone. I killed him for his betrayal 6 months ago. His family had no knowledge of his schemes. Are you certain? I am. Nico's voice was steel. The matter is closed. Victor died believing lies told by a dead man. That's punishment enough. The Dons exchanged glances. Then, one by one, they nodded. Agreed, Don Carmine said. The vendetta ends here. Victor Kozlov died in a dispute with his own men. That's the official story. The families are in agreement, Don Salvatore Costa added. Nico handled this with appropriate force and restraint. The matter is closed. After they left, Valentina finally allowed herself to collapse onto the nearest couch. Her shoulder throbbed. Her face ached from Victor's hit. Every muscle in her body screamed exhaustion. Francesca appeared with ice for her face and pain medication. You're becoming quite the warrior, daughter. I'm becoming quite the disaster magnet, Valentina corrected. In this family, they're the same thing. Francesca smiled gently. But you survived. Again, that's what matters. After she left, Valentina and Nico sat in silence, processing everything that had happened. The attack, the confrontation, the death, the revelation about Marco De Luca's betrayal that had started this whole mess. He was right, you know, Valentina said quietly. Who? Victor? Yes, about me being too good for this world. For you. She looked at Nico. I should be horrified. I watched you kill a man tonight. I nearly died again. This is the second time in a week someone's tried to murder me. But you're not running. No, I'm not running. She took his hand. Because as terrifying as your world is, as dangerous as it's been, I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. Nico pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. I don't deserve you. We've established this. Can we move past it now? Probably not, but I'll try. He kissed her softly. Thank you. For what? For fighting. For staying alive. For not giving up on me even when you had every reason to. I promised you forever, remember? Till death do us part. And death is going to have to try a lot harder if it wants to part us. He laughed, exhausted, relieved, grateful. You're insane. I married you, didn't I? Clearly insane. Clearly. He helped her stand. Come on, let's get you to bed. Doctor's orders were rest. And you've done everything but. I was kidnapped. That's restful, right? Not even remotely. As they climbed the stairs together, Valentina realized something. She'd survived. Not just tonight, but all of it. The contract, the wedding, the shooting, the kidnapping. Every impossible thing this world had thrown at her, she'd survived. More than survived. She fought back. She'd become a Salvatore in truth, not just in name. In their bedroom, Nico helped her undress, his touch gentle and reverent. When she was in comfortable clothes, he climbed into bed beside her, pulling her close. No more kidnappings, he murmured against her hair. I'm putting that in writing. I'll hold you to it. Good. He was quiet for a moment. Then Valentina? When I thought I'd lost you tonight, when I thought I was too late, I realized something. What? that I'd rather die than live without you, that you become so essential to my existence that I can't remember what life was like before you. His arms tightened. That terrifies me more than Victor ever could. Why does it terrify you? Because it gives you power over me. Complete power. You could destroy me with a word. But I won't. She tilted her head to look at him. Because destroying you would destroy me too. We're bound together now, for better or worse. Mostly worse so far. The honeymoon period is notoriously difficult in mob marriages. He laughed, and she felt the tension finally leaving his body. We never did get a proper wedding night. No, we didn't. Rude of Victor to interrupt. Very rude. We should probably rectify that. Now, she raised an eyebrow. I've been kidnapped, nearly murdered, and punched in the face. I'm not exactly feeling romantic. Tomorrow then, when you're healed, when the danger has passed, when we can actually enjoy being married instead of just surviving it. Tomorrow, she agreed, or the day after, or next week. We have time now. Victor's gone. The threat's over. We actually have time. Time, Nico echoed, like it was a foreign concept. I'd almost forgotten what that felt like. They lay in the darkness, wrapped around each other, finally safe, finally at peace, finally able to just be married without danger lurking around every corner. Nico, yeah, I love you, even with all the chaos and danger and near-death experiences. I love you. I love you, too. So much it scares me. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. He kissed her, soft and slow and full of promise, of tomorrow and next week, and all the time they just earned together. When they finally fell asleep, it was with smiles on their faces and hope in their hearts. The worst was over, or so they thought. Epilogue, ever after. 6 months later, Valentina woke to sunlight streaming through the windows of their villa in Amalfi, not the estate in New York with its guards and walls and memories of blood. This place, their honeymoon retreat that they'd finally taken, was all light and air and the sound of waves crashing against cliffs. You're awake, Nico said from the doorway, carrying a tray of breakfast. Coffee, fresh pastries, fruit. I was trying to let you sleep. I'm on Italian time now. 6 a.m. feels late. She stretched, her shoulder only giving a small twinge now. The scar was fading, the pain mostly gone. Is that Cornetti? Fresh from the bakery down the hill. He set the tray on the bed and climbed in beside her, plus espresso strong enough to wake the dead, and orange juice from the garden. You're spoiling me. Good. You deserve spoiling after the year we've had. Year. It had been a year since she'd signed that contract in Nico's office. 12 months since her life had completely transformed. So much had happened. Victor's death. The revelation about Marco De Luca's betrayal. The slow process of healing. Both her shoulder and their relationship. The gradual shift from survival mode to actually living. And now this. 2 weeks in Italy with no guards, no business, no families demanding their attention. Just them, the sea, and all the time in the world. What do you want to do today? Nico asked, stealing a piece of her cornetto. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe swim. Maybe read. Definitely nap. She leaned against him. Revolutionary concept, I know. Doing nothing with you sounds perfect. They ate breakfast in comfortable silence, both thinking about how different life was now. How the constant tension had gradually eased. How they'd learned to breathe without fear. It hadn't been easy. Valentina still had nightmares sometimes. The moment Victor's gun pressed against her temple, the impact of the bullet at the wedding, the blood. Nico had them too. Dreams where he arrived too late, where he couldn't save her, where she died in his arms. But they'd learned to wake each other gently, to hold each other through the fear, to remind each other that they'd survived, they were alive, they were together. Valentina? Nico set down his espresso cup. I've been thinking. Dangerous. About us. About the future. He took her hand. About what comes next. Her heart skipped. What comes next? The contract, the one you signed. It had a clause, 2 years, and either of us could walk away. He met her eyes. That deadline is in a year. And I was thinking, maybe we should tear it up. Tear it up? Make this real. Not a business arrangement with an exit strategy, but a real marriage. No contracts, no clauses, no escape plans. His thumb brushed her knuckles. Just us, choosing each other. Every day. Forever. Valentina's throat tightened. You want to tear up the contract? I want to make you a promise that has nothing to do with debt or obligation or business. I want to marry you again, Valentina. For real this time. Because I love you, not because I need you. You needed me then. I did, but now I want you. And that's different. He pulled a small box from his pocket. I bought you a new ring. The first one was picked by my assistant. This one, I chose myself. He opened the box. Inside was a ring, not as flashy as the first one, but more beautiful. A sapphire surrounded by diamonds, elegant and understated. Perfect. It reminded me of you, he said softly. Strong but beautiful. Rare. Valuable beyond measure. Tears pricked Valentina's eyes. Nico, you don't have to answer now. Think about it. But know that whether you say yes or no, whether you keep the ring or throw it in the ocean, I'm yours. Completely. For as long as you'll have me. Valentina looked at the ring, then at him. At this man who'd bought her a year ago and somehow become everything she'd never known she needed. Yes, she said. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you again. Yes, I'll tear up the contract. Yes to all of it. She kissed him, but on one condition. Name it. No more near-death experiences. I want a boring life. Spectacularly, wonderfully boring. He laughed. I'll see what I can do. He slipped the ring onto her finger, right beside the platinum band she still wore. Old and new, contract and choice, all of it together. Beautiful, he murmured. It's just a ring. It's a promise. That's better than beautiful. They spent the morning on the private beach, swimming in water, so clear you could see straight to the bottom. Valentina floated on her back, staring up at the cloudless sky, feeling peace settle over her like a blanket. I could stay here forever, she said. We could. Nico swam up beside her. Just disappear. Let someone else run the business. Let someone else deal with the families. You'd go crazy within a week. Probably. He grinned. But it's nice to think about. What about a compromise? Half the year in New York, half here. Best of both worlds. I like that. A lot, actually. He pulled her close, both of them treading water. We could raise kids here, away from the chaos. Valentina's breath caught. Kids, eventually, if you want them. No pressure. I want them. She hadn't realized it until she said out loud. Maybe not now, but someday, when things are more stable. Things are stable now. Are they? Really? Nico considered. More stable than they've been in years. Victor's gone. The families are at peace. My mother has stopped trying to set me up with society daughters because I'm finally properly married. He smiled. Yeah, things are stable. Then maybe someday soon. She kissed him. But not during this trip. This trip is just about us. Just about us. He agreed. No business, no families, no obligations. No kidnappings, no shootings, no Russian mobsters. Definitely none of those. They swam back to shore and spent the afternoon on the terrace, reading and dozing, and occasionally feeding each other grapes like they were in some ridiculous romance novel, which Valentina supposed they were. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Nico pulled her close. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For taking a chance on me. For seeing past a monster to the man underneath. For choosing to stay when I gave you every reason to run. You also gave me reasons to stay. Like what? She thought about it. You challenged me. Made me stronger. Showed me a world I never knew existed. Dangerous, yes, but also full of loyalty and family and people who die for each other. That doesn't sound like a compliment. It is, though. You taught me what it means to truly commit to someone, to stand beside them even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. She touched his face. You made me brave, Nico. Braver than I ever thought I could be. You were always brave. I just gave you reasons to show it. Then we made each other better. She smiled. Not bad for a business arrangement. Not bad at all. They watched the sunset together, wrapped in each other's arms, both thinking about the journey that had brought them here. From that first day in his office, when she'd signed the contract with shaking hands, to now, when her hands were steady and her heart was full. Valentina, I'm happy. Right now, in this moment, I'm completely happy. Me too. That's new for me. Happiness without the other shoe waiting to drop, without constantly looking over my shoulder for the next threat. Get used to it. I plan to make you happy for the next 50 years. Only 50? Fine. 60. But that's my final offer. He laughed and pulled her closer. Deal. That night, they finally had their proper wedding night. No interruptions, no gunfire, no Russians trying to kill them. Just the two of them, candlelight, and all the time in the world. Afterward, lying tangled together in sheets that smelled of sea air and happiness, Valentina traced the scars on Nico's chest, remnants of a life lived dangerously. Tell me about this one, she said, touching a long scar across his ribs. Knife fight when I was 19. Stupid kid thought he could challenge me. This one, gunshot, business deal gone wrong. And this one, she touched a small scar near his heart. That one you gave me. She pulled back. I never, not physically, emotionally. He covered her hand with his. The day you signed the contract, the day you looked at me with such hatred, something cracked open in here. Hurt worse than any bullet. I don't hate you now. I know. That's why it doesn't hurt anymore. He kissed her palm. You healed it. You healed me. We healed each other. Yeah, we did. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, hearts beating in sync, both finally, completely at peace. On their last day in Italy, Valentina woke to find Nico already dressed, standing on the terrace with his phone. Everything okay? She asked, joining him. Fine. Just checking in with Luca, making sure nothing's exploded in our absence. He pocketed the phone and turned to her. But everything's quiet. The business is running smoothly. My mother hasn't killed anyone. Your brother is still in school and not getting into trouble. Miracles happen. Apparently. He pulled her close. I don't want to leave. Neither do I. But we have to eventually. Real life waits. Real life, he echoed. A year ago, real life was surviving day to day. Now real life is... what? Going home to our house? Having dinner with family? Planning for the future? Sounds boring. Sounds perfect. They spent their last day making memories. One final swim, one final meal at the cliffside restaurant, one final sunset watch from their terrace. We'll come back, Nico promised as they packed. Every year, this can be our place. Away from everything else. I'd like that. And maybe next time we won't come alone. He placed his hand on her still flat stomach. Maybe next time there'll be 3 of us. Valentina covered his hand with hers. Maybe, if we're lucky, we are lucky. Despite everything, or maybe because of it, we're the luckiest people I know. The flight back to New York felt too short. But when they landed, when they drove to the gates of the state, when they saw Francesca waiting at the door with Marco beside her, Valentina realized something. She was coming home. Not to the cage she'd feared a year ago. Not to a prison disguised as luxury. But home. A place where she belonged. A family she'd chosen and who'd chosen her back. Welcome home, daughter, Francesca said, embracing her. We missed you. We missed you too, Mama. The word came naturally now. Francesca had earned it. Had become the mother figure Valentina had lost years ago. That night, lie in their bed in New York, Valentina stared at the ceiling, processing the journey. What are you thinking about? Nico asked. Everything. How far we've come. How different life is now. Better different or worse different? Better. Definitely better. She rolled to face him. A year ago, I signed a contract thinking my life was over, that I was trading my freedom for my family's survival. And now I realize I didn't lose my freedom. I found it. Freedom to be strong, to fight, to love without reservation, to be part of something bigger than myself. The family. Our family, she corrected. The one we're building together. Nico pulled her close, his hand resting on her hip. I love you, Valentina Salvatore, more than I thought possible, more than I have words for. I love you too, Nico. Thank you. For what? For buying me. She smiled at a surprised expression. For seeing something in me worth saving. For giving me a choice when you didn't have to. For becoming my partner instead of my owner. Best investment I ever made, he said softly. Best gamble I ever took. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, the past behind them, the future bright and full of possibility. Outside, the guards patrolled. The gates were locked. The security was tight. But inside, in the master bedroom of the Salvatore estate, two people slept peacefully. No nightmares. No fear. No wondering when the next threat would come. Just peace. Just love. Just each other. And in the morning, they'd wake up and choose each other again, as they would every morning for the rest of their lives. Because that's what marriage was, not a contract, not an obligation, not a business deal. It was a choice, made freely, made daily, made with full knowledge of the cost and full commitment to pay it. Valentina had signed a contract a year ago, thinking she was buying her family's salvation. Instead, she'd found her own, and as she drifted towards sleep, safe in Nico's arms, she smiled. Best deal she'd ever made. Epilogue. 2 years later. She has your eyes, Nico whispered, staring down at the tiny baby in his arms. She has your stubborn chin, Valentina countered from the hospital bed, exhausted but glowing. Their daughter, Isabella Francesca Salvatore, named for both grandmothers, had arrived 3 hours ago after 12 hours of labor that had turned Nico into a terrified mess. I thought I was going to lose you, he'd said halfway through, when complications arose. You won't. Valentina had replied through gritted teeth. I survived Russian mobsters. I can survive childbirth. And she had. They both had. Now, watching Nico hold their daughter with infinite gentleness, Valentina felt her heart overflow. We made a person, she said in wonder. We made a perfect person. He carefully carried the baby to her. Though I'm terrified of screwing her up. We'll screw her up together. That's what parents do. Comforting. I try. Francesca appeared in the doorway, tears already streaming. May I? Of course, Nana. Nico gently transferred the baby to his mother's arms. Bella. Francesca cooed, using the nickname they'd already chosen. You're going to be so loved, so protected, so cherished, and so spoiled, Marco added, appearing behind her. I'm already planning to be the favorite uncle. You're the only uncle, Valentina pointed out. Exactly. Favorite by default. They stayed for an hour, taking turns holding Bella, making plans, arguing about who she looked like more. Then Francesca ushered everyone out, giving Nico and Valentina privacy. Alone with her daughter, Nico climbed carefully onto the bed beside Valentina. Bella was sleeping now, tiny and perfect between them. She's going to have the best life, Nico said softly. Private schools, vacations, everything money can buy. And love. Don't forget love. Never. He touched Bella's tiny hand, marveling when her fingers instinctively curled around his. I promise you, little one, I'll be better than my father. I'll be the dad you deserve. You already are, Valentina said. They sat in silence, watching their daughter sleep, both processing the magnitude of what they created. Thank you, Nico said eventually. You helped, you know. Not for the baby. Well, yes for the baby, but also for everything else. For giving me a reason to be better. For showing me what family really means. For choosing me when you didn't have to. I'll always choose you. She kissed him softly. In every lifetime, in every universe, I'd choose you, even with all the chaos, even with the Russian mobsters, especially with the Russian mobsters. They make life interesting. He laughed quietly, not wanting to wake Bella. I love you, Mrs. Salvatore. I love you too, Mr. Salvatore. She looked down at their daughter. And I love her. Our perfect, beautiful daughter. Our family, Nico said with wonder. Our family, Valentina agreed, and as the three of them sat together, Nico, Valentina, and baby Isabella, surrounded by love and hope and the promise of tomorrow, Valentina thought back to that day in Nico's office. The contract she'd signed with shaking hands. The deal she'd made to save her family. The marriage she'd entered with hatred and fear. And she smiled, because that contract had given her everything. A husband who loved her fiercely. A family who'd die for her. A daughter who would grow up knowing what real love looked like. And a life, dangerous, chaotic, imperfect, but utterly, completely hers. Not bad for a business arrangement. Not bad at all. The end.